Meet Yalin, an orphan with a seriously broken cheat code. He can regenerate any body part in minutes. Naturally, he uses this gift to repeatedly sell his kidneys and other organs, leaving local surgeons absolutely traumatized. All that organ selling helps him buy a ticket into the Academy Awakening ceremony. It is the fastest shortcut to stack overpowered magic skills on top of his already immortal, cheat code body. The ceremony kicks off right under the watchful eye of the principal. First up is Guy, who somehow awakens as an A-rank poultry breeder. The principal puts on a brave face, but everyone knows it is just a glorified farming job. Next in line is the Academy star student, Juani. The moment she touches the testing orb, a massive fiery phoenix erupts, marking her as a triple S rank fire mage. The principal goes absolutely wild with joy, while the other kids realize she is now completely out of their league. Finally, it is Yalin's turn to step up. Striding past the school goddess Jugani, he is dead set on not playing a background character today. But when his hand hits the orb, the sky turns black, and a massive blue dragon spirit unleashes wild lightning. Everyone stands frozen at the terrifying anomaly, which reveals Yalin is a legendary triple S rank forbidden mage. The principal is over the moon until reality hits, and his face twists with horror and pity. See, forbidden mages burn their own life force to cast spells, rarely surviving past 25. The crowd instantly turns on Yalin, laughing at his terrible luck and mocking him for going into debt for a class that will literally kill him. Juani watches him with cold pity, convinced his life is basically over. The principal tries to comfort Yalin, saying it is better to burn bright and fast than to live a boring, mediocre life. Yalin puts on a brave face, thanking the old man and promising to bring glory to the school anyway. His fake tragic heroism lands him a spot in the elite training group next to Jugani. As he walks off, a smug grin creeps onto his face. While everyone else sees a walking corpse, Yalin knows a secret. But check this out, a limited lifespan means absolutely nothing to a guy who can instantly regenerate his body. As dusk settles, students leave the academy. Yalin blends into the crowd, completely drained from the drama, and wanting nothing more than a good nap. But his escape is cut short when Jugani calls him over. The triple S star mage approaches with a serious offer to team up. She points out that since using his magic literally kills him, grouping up is his only hope for survival. Too bad for her, Yalin couldn't care less and just waves her off as he walks away. This rejection leaves Jugani fuming, chalking his independence up to pure stupidity. But the walk home gets worse when a gang of snobs led by a blonde bully named Lingyu blocks Yalin's path. They laugh at his self-destructive class and warn him that hanging out with Jugani has put a massive target on his back from the powerful Gi family. The trash talk turns nasty as they mock his poor apartment and his dead parents. Yalin tries to ignore them, but the insults to his family trigger a dark, fiery memory from his childhood. They push him way too far, and the air instantly turns freezing. A terrifying giant eye manifests behind Yalin, signaling the rise of his forbidden magic. The bullies panic, realizing this madman is actually willing to trade his lifespan just to erase them, but Yalin does not hesitate. He slams his hand down, unleashing a brutal blast of energy that craters the alley and sends the screaming cowards flying. Silence finally returns. With the thugs gone, the adrenaline drops and Yalin winces as his organs pay the price of the spell. Up on a balcony, Jugani watches, completely unimpressed. He assumes anyone stupid enough to blow their lifespan over a few insults will die young and forgotten. Back at his trashy apartment, Yalin spends the night researching his new class. He finds a hilarious yet dark rulebook where sacrificing specific organs fuels different tiers of heavy thunder magic. The ultimate spell usually requires instant death, but his insane healing factor completely bypasses that. Exhausted from his body constantly rebuilding itself, he finally passes out. Across town, Lingyu begs his wealthy father for revenge. But the older man is smart. Killing a government-registered forbidden mage is a terrible business move with zero profit. Instead, they should exploit the kid's poverty. Why fight a desperate teenager when the G family can easily buy him out? The next morning at the Academy Stadium, the big trial exam begins. A sleepy Yalin arrives, only to be greeted by a suspiciously friendly Lingyu. The blonde bully offers him a free lunch, claiming yesterday was a wake-up call. Honestly, who falls for this? Yalin is suspicious of poison, but Lingyu drops to one knee and begs to be his loyal apprentice. Seeing a golden opportunity, Yalin demands a massive tuition fee of 2 million yuan. To his utter shock, Lingyu instantly calls his dad to wire the cash. While the money clears, the principal is busy bragging to rival schoolmasters about his two brand-new triple S rank students. The annoyed guests make their escape just as the speakers announce the start of the exams. Before stepping in, Juani offers Yalin one final chance to party up, but he declines and leaps into the blue portal alone, spawning straight into a dangerous forest. Testing his powers, He summons a tiny spark of lightning that vaporizes a wild leopard cat. But when the system awards him a pathetic 10 experience points, his smile fades. Burning his health for pennies is terrible business. If he wants to level up, he needs a much crazier strategy. Deep in the woods, Yalin spots a giant army of slithering snakes and shadow beasts rushing his way. Instead of running, he flashes a manic grin and welcomes the chaos. This massive wave is the ultimate jackpot for fast experience points. He plants his feet, ready to unleash his high-tier destructive spells. As the terrifying swarm surrounds him, a massive blue ghost skull erupts from his body, signaling his ultimate spell, Burning Reincarnation. The spell completely doubles his stats, spirit, and speed. Despite the terrifying health cost, Yalin knows that in this state, no monster can withstand his lightning magic. He teleports through the battlefield, leaving a trail of destruction as he tears through monsters, but the spell's cost hits him instantly. As his life force burns, his hands begin to turn black and rot. He realizes it only takes 5 minutes for his body to completely decay, so he sets a strict 1-minute limit to avoid looking like a zombie and revealing his secret healing factor to the instructors watching. Shrugging off the agonizing pain, he fires up a skill called Immortal Reverse Life, channeling raw static to prep his grand attack World Ender Extreme Thunder. As the apocalyptic thunder crash lands, the system confirms the absolute annihilation of every single monster in the forest. Yalin hits level 3. That massive wave of experience points instantly unlocks a crazy new fire-type forbidden spell called Infernal Fireburnt Sky. Later that night, Zhugani stumbles onto the dark clearing. She completely freezes in shock. Hundreds of charred monster carcasses lie scattered before her, entirely roasted by legendary, highly destructive infernal fire. Since she is supposed to be the only top fire mage in this entire region, she assumes some hidden master must be lurking nearby, a genius who completely eclipses her. She immediately vows to hunt down this mysterious expert. She has no clue the Grandmaster is just her despised, low-class classmate. Meanwhile, Yalin is chilling by a campfire. Magic pig meat? Delicious. Burning that much energy means Yalin needs to eat well to refuel. But just as he finishes his feast and gets ready to farm more high-level monsters, Zhugani suddenly bursts out from the trees, totally ruining his vibe. Secret power? He absolutely needs to keep it hidden. Yalin tries to act casual by offering her some delicious pork, but Zhugani immediately starts nagging and lecturing him instead. He rants that his weak, forbidden class makes him far too helpless to survive out here alone. Then, with extreme arrogance, she assumes he is trying to follow her and snaps that she is too busy to carry him. Yalin just stares back. Absolute deadpan. He seriously wonders if this girl is completely delusional before she suddenly asks him if he saw the elite fire mage who unleashed that infernal fire. Eager to get her out of his face, Yalin points to a random direction and claims a super handsome expert ran that way. Hook, line, and sinker. Zhugani charges into the deep woods, blaming him for losing track of the expert. But karma hits fast, and a dangerous B-level dragon blood beast suddenly leaps out of the shadows to ambush her. Outclassed, panicking, Zhugani quickly realizes she cannot beat this high-level monster and feels a moment of pure despair. She bitterly wonders where Yalin went, assuming that useless coward abandoned her and ran away. She desperately chucks tiny fireballs to defend herself, but the beast easily swats them away and launches her high into the sky. It lunges forward, ready to deliver a brutal, lethal blow. Boom! A massive, explosive wall of fire erupts to shield her, roasting the beast to a crisp instantly. Zhugani lies on the scorched dirt, completely mortified that her own stupid ego nearly got her killed. Her eyes pop wide open in absolute awe. Standing right on the smoking corpse is a mysterious figure, wrapped in that exact infernal fire. Yalin had quickly thrown on a hood and mask to save her without blowing his cover. She desperately begs for his name. He just looks down coldly. To protect his secret, he claims his name is Lingya, a clever play on morning and night. A starry-eyed, flustered Zhugani stares up at her savior, desperately begging to know what academy he attends so she can thank him. Yalin keeps his back turned. Indifferent. He only sees her as a massive headache and wants nothing to do with her gratitude. He tells her there is absolutely no need for thanks, as he was simply passing through. Ignoring her desperate cries to wait, he casually turns and melts back into the dark forest shadows. Since the beast shredded her robes, the fabric suddenly falls completely apart, leaving her clutching herself in absolute shock. Yalin glances back just long enough to warn her not to follow him, suggesting she prioritize changing her clothes. This leaves Zhugani blushing furiously on the dirt. But her shame instantly turns into fierce determination. She vows to one day stand right by his side. Once deep in the woods, and absolutely sure she is not tailing him, Yalin pauses to catch his breath. Saving her was a complete waste of precious time, and he urgently needs to level up even faster. Right on cue, a system notification pops up. he has unlocked Undying. By sacrificing 2 years of his lifespan, he can shrug off a single fatal blow. Sure, his forbidden spellcaster class is basically a fast track to an early grave. But this new passive? An absolute godsend, if you ask me. Since he can literally survive a direct strike to his head or heart, he can now spam his most world-ending forbidden spells without the annoying fear of actual death. This insane cheat skill gives him the ultimate confidence to farm experience. Cut to day 3 of the trial exam. A massive crowd has gathered at the arena for the final results. Anxious parents pray their kids hit level 8. As the school seniors show off, one elite teacher notes that flashy, powerful classes are not everything in this world. A student's level is the real measure of success, and the city's standing record for this realm is level 11. Their chat is cut short by Ju Qin, a top-tier astrologer who is here to watch his daughter. The principals kiss up to him instantly, hyping Zhugani as the academy's pride. Suddenly, everyone gasps. Someone is exiting the portal way ahead of schedule. Out steps Zhugani, casually waving to her shocked father and the principal. They are completely stunned to see her before the timer even runs out. She proudly announces she hit level 12, crushing the old record. The teachers are completely mind-blown. Her dad jokingly grumbles that she easily could have pushed to level 13 if she had just stayed inside. But Zhugani admits the low-level mobs were way too boring. She secretly rushed out early just to track down the mysterious Lingya before he could escape. Meanwhile, deep in the desolate zone of the dungeon, Yalin suddenly sneezes and wonders if someone is gossiping about him. Seeing that he has already completely wiped out every single level 10 monster in this zone, he realizes he must broaden his search. To speed things up, he activates Sudden Dance. The cost? Sacrificing his own kidney, which boosts his raw agility tenfold. Yes, you heard that right. Our boy blitzes through the woods, making legendary high-level assassins look like turtles. Spotting a pack of 3-headed cyclone mantises, he grins. They are his next victims. He leaps high into the air. Sacrificing his own bladder, he triggers a world-destroying raging thunderstorm to vaporize them instantly. Meanwhile, back at the stadium, the final minutes are ticking away as exhausted students limp through the portal. Zhugani paces near the exit, tapping her foot. Why has her handsome savior not appeared yet? As the announcer starts the final 3-minute countdown, she spots a silhouette emerging and feels a massive surge of hope. But her face instantly twists in disappointment when the figure is revealed to be Yalin. She immediately calls him a coward and yells at him to get lost, assuming he spent the test hiding. Yalin is annoyed, but the principal runs over and eagerly asks for his level. With a relaxed smirk, Yalin flashes his status window. He actually hit level 16. Total silence. The entire stadium falls into absolute shock, because reaching level 16 in a rookie secret realm is seemingly impossible when the previous record was barely 11. The crowd and teachers quickly calculate the insane scale of his achievement. Reaching level 16 requires 12,000 experience points. Since the strongest beasts only give 100 points each, Yalin must have brutally slaughtered over 1,000 level 10 monsters. Now, the principal of Qingchang is bursting with pride. Laughing hysterically, he slaps Yalin on the back, declaring him the Academy's ultimate glory. Even the prestigious Ju Qin watches with an impressed smile. But the hype dies instantly when Zhugani scoffs, loudly pointing out that a forbidden spellcaster can easily level up fast if they throw away their life. Instantly, the crowd's awe turns to harsh judgment. Students start laughing, whispering that Yalin is just a fool who traded his entire lifespan for a few days of cheap clout. One elite teacher even accuses the principal of brainwashing the boy into burning his lifespan just to secure the school's reputation. Yalin stays completely chill during the chaos, shutting everyone up by saying he did it on purpose. He explains that as a poor orphan who was always treated like trash, he would rather go out in a blaze of glory than live a boring, average life. This wild speech actually impresses Zhuge Qining, who walks up to hand over his card and offer personal support. Zhugni gets super annoyed and screams that the mysterious Lingya is the real prodigy who will easily surpass Yalin. The principal and teachers are totally confused because they have never even heard of that name. While she keeps hyping up Lingya as a game changer, our main character secretly laughs at her obsession and asks to head home. The principal lets him go, reminding him the real exam is only 3 days away. When the portal shuts and the session ends, Yugni starts to panic. Her imaginary hero never showed up, so she naturally decides to blame Yalin for distracting her. Her dad asks her about what happened, and he actually starts to wonder if Yalin and Lingya are the exact same guy. Zhugni laughs it off, claiming Yalin is just a coward who ran from a dragon, while Lingya is a fire master. Meanwhile, in his crappy apartment, our boy sneezes and knows that delusional girl is talking trash again. His quiet time gets ruined by a knock on the door from a guy named Manager Wang. He claims to represent a health drink company and offers a massive 3 million yuan endorsement deal after his record-breaking run. Manager Wang hands him a fancy potion that allegedly helps with cell recovery and a longer life. Happy that he does not have to sell any more of his organs, Yalin ignores the red flags and chugs it down. Big mistake, because it is a total trap. The drink was laced, and he immediately passes out. The manager calls his boss to confirm the target is secure, and they drag Yalin to a sketchy building where the boss turns out to be the shady dealer from the black market. The guy laughs like a maniac while examining Yalin, realizing every single organ he bought from the kid has grown right back. He thinks he just stumbled upon the ultimate cheat code for infinite wealth and immortality. But the party ends quickly when Yalin sits straight up, completely fine. The boss is absolutely floored that a level 16 rookie can shrug off a heavy drug made to put down elephants. The shady boss, a level 20 phantom swordsman named Zhu Leng, pulls out a massive blade to force him down. Not wanting to burn the whole place down with fire, Yalin decides to use a forbidden frost spell called the Eye of Eternal Frost. He sacrifices his own eye to unleash a freeze wave that instantly turns the boss to ice. The villain's weapon shatters, and he realizes with absolute horror that level gaps do not mean a thing against forbidden magic. Our hero starts a freezing interrogation to make sure his regeneration secret is safe. Once the boss admits he kept the secret to himself to make some cash, Yalin decides to end things quickly with a devastating, magic-packed punch. Outside, the rest of the guards get impaled by massive ice spikes shooting from the ground. Walking through the mess, Yalin feels grossed out by that fake drink, so he literally sacrifices his own stomach to vomit it out. He traps the last crying survivor, who quickly squeals that their big boss is Ken, the underground king of the city. This is bad news, because Ken is famous for being a generous charity donor in public, which makes things way more dangerous. Yalin slips away into the night, knowing a much bigger storm is coming. Deep inside the dark Chingchong black market, Ken listens to a report from his men. The kingpin is shocked to hear that Zhu Ling vanished right after going after some broke student. The lackey explains they lost contact 30 minutes ago, and the whole base was found burned to ash, pointing to a powerful fire user. Furious, Ken stands up with a terrifying pressure that literally cracks the floor. He orders his men to dig deep and find the missing dealer no matter what. Cut to a beautiful mansion where Ling Yu is waiting on the steps as Yalin pulls up in a sweet ride. Ling Yu says he sent a car the second he heard his boss arrived, while Yalin just stares at the ridiculously huge estate. Ling Yu nervously mentions the 2 million yuan that was requested, but Yalin just waves off any talk of cash. He says that since Ling Yu calls him boss, money doesn't matter. Relieved, the guy throws an arm around Yalin and leads him inside, telling him to treat the mansion like his own home. While Ling Yu secretly thinks his boss is a bit naive, Yalin knows hiding inside the Gi family estate is the perfect shield to keep Ken's thugs off his back. They step inside to find a gorgeous spiral staircase and a whole lineup of maids waiting to bow. Looking at all this luxury, our main character can't help but realize just how differently the ultra-rich live. Ling Yu offers to send some maids to his room for the night. Yalin tries to act cool, but when the girls crowd around to help change his clothes, he gets totally flustered and awkwardly declines with a laugh. Ling Yu laughs and tells him not to be shy, reminding him they have a huge event to attend tonight. Yalin asks what the event is, and Ling Yu tells him he will see soon. They pull up to a packed, grand hall, which turns out to be the annual Ching Chong auction. He offers to introduce him to the wealthy elites, but Yalin waves him off to find the buffet. He explains he was fighting all night and had to blow up his own stomach, so he needs to refill. Watching him run to the food, Ling Yu rolls his eyes, thinking the poor will always be cheap and unrefined. Yalin sits down with a massive plate of fancy food, eating like a beast to recover. Suddenly, a shadow falls over his table, and he looks up to see Jugni and her friend Lu Yani staring down at him. Lu Yani asks if this is the genius fire mage from the secret realm. Jugni turns away with a scoff, calling him a coward who abandoned her, and complains about her bad luck before stomping off. Yalin just chuckles as she leaves, totally amused and wondering what her face would look like if she found out he is actually her mysterious savior. Ling Yu walks over to some rich students and introduces Yalin as his boss. They are highly skeptical, thinking it is crazy for someone like Ling Yu to respect a totally normal guy. Annoyed by their attitude, Ling Yu asks if they even know his boss's rank. The students gasp in disbelief when they discover this guy is already at level 16. They crowd around him with instant respect, recognizing him as the top rookie from the secret realm and freaking out over his crazy level compared to their own trash stats. Yalin tells them to relax, saying he knows a thing or two about grinding and wishes he could carry them outside the safety zone to boost their upcoming exam scores. The group gets hyped, but Ling Yu reminds them that leaving the city before the test is strictly banned. Our hero then casually mentions that despite his high level, he lacks good gear. Ling Yu immediately puts 2 and 2 together. Realizing his boss will help them power level if they sneak out, Ling Yu gets super excited. He promises to buy Yalin whatever gear he wants from the auction, as long as he can tag along. He tells Yalin that cash is no object, since his wealthy dad pays for everything. Just then, the spotlight hits the stage, as the auctioneer Ching Ching welcomes everyone, and reveals the first item. It is an epic tier fire skill scroll made for mages. Bidding starts, and the price instantly leaps from 50,000 to hundreds of thousands as hands fly up. Juga Chenning suddenly stands up and bids 3 million, leaving the entire crowd completely speechless. Eating from his tray, Yalin sighs at how filthy rich these people are. Honestly though, he doesn't even need skill scrolls since every single spell he casts is already a world-ending forbidden power. Our young mage tells his level 1 shadow swordsman buddy, Ling Yu, to keep an eye out for anything useful. Meanwhile, on stage, the gorgeous auctioneer Ching Ching unveils a rare piece of gear, the Royal Dragon Rui ring. She says the ring boosts psychic stats by 30 points and grants a passive dragon aura. The bidding starts at a cool 2 million, with $10,000 increments. Hands shoot up instantly, driving the price past 3 million. Watching with a fork still hanging out of his mouth, Yalin notes that the ring is actually worth every single penny. Since the boost is incredible, he tells Ling Yu to buy it. Talk about having a rich friend. The kid whispers to his dad, Chairman G, who happily agrees. Chairman G casually bids 8 million, figuring it is a tiny price to pay to get his son into a top-tier academy. Plus, he secretly thinks that since forbidden mages die young, Yalin will kick the bucket soon anyway, letting them take the ring back. But suddenly, Ken, the city's notorious underground king, bids 10 million. Chairman G glares at him with narrowed eyes while Ling Yu wonders why this mob boss is here. Ken immediately confronts the chairman about a little incident involving his goons. Instantly recognizing the scary mob boss from their last run-in, Yalin quietly turns around and nervously adjusts his glasses to hide his face. Desperate to avoid a scene, Chairman G plays dumb and warns Ken that the G Corporation is not a pushover. He pushes the bid to 12 million, but Ken just grins maliciously and says the game is on. Ken orders his man to double-check that vehicle from the recent warehouse heist, which leads straight back to the G family. He then drops a chilling threat he is going to wipe them all out. The hammer falls, locking the auction at 12 million. Chairman G hands the ring box to Yalin, who thanks him before asking Ling Yu about the scary dude who just stormed out. Chairman G explains that Ken is a ruthless mob boss trying to clean up his business, warning that their entire family corporation is now locked in his sights. Realizing how bad this is, our young mage warns the chairman to stay alert. Big companies always paint giant targets on their backs, and Chairman G wholeheartedly agrees. Slipping the ring on, Yalin notices a massive surprise. It doesn't just boost his psychic stats, it also adds a sneaky 10 extra points to his luck. He's super confident now. He promises Chairman G that he will personally carry Ling Yu into a top-tier academy. The chairman laughs happily, treating Yalin like his own son and telling him to ask for whatever he wants. Later in the lounge, a completely exhausted Ling Yu flops onto a sofa. Super grateful for the help, Ling Yu tells Yalin to take any gear he wants. Our mage looks over the options, spotting a thunder ring, a psychic necklace, and a pair of healing yin-yang twin bangles. Yalin grabs all three, figuring those healing bangles will make a perfect cover story for why his body regenerates at cheat-like speeds. He stands up to inspect a massive blue sword called Starry Sky, which gives a major strength bonus scaling with starlight. He realizes this blade will let him finally cast the forbidden spell he unlocked at level 10. He drops into a combat stance. Behind him, a terrifying blue beast head looms. The blade's skill drains a year of lifespan per slash but doubles his power, stacking up to 99 times. Confident, he tells Ling Yu they are going to absolutely crush the upcoming exam. Across town, Juani relaxes in a warm bubble bath, wondering why the wealthy G family is investing so much in a supposed coward like Yalin. She knows they must have a secret deal. Her butler interrupts, saying Lu Yanhui and Inspector Huang have arrived with leads on the mysterious Ling. Juani tells them to wait, quickly throwing on a sleek black dress to meet her guests. Inspector Huang greets her with a photo of a charred farmhouse, explaining they found traces of legendary karma fire there. Suspecting a link to the person Juani is hunting, he asks for her cooperation. No way. Shocked by the accusation, Juani insists Ling isn't a criminal. After all, he saved her life. The inspector mentions someone else was spotted at the scene, hinting it might be Yalin. Juani gets instantly annoyed and scoffs, arguing that Yalin is just a coward who ran from the dragon. She claims there is no way a loser like him could control karma fire, while Inspector Huang activates his hidden lie-detecting eye to scan her words. Seeing her absolute certainty, the inspector rules Yalin out and leaves, asking her to call if she hears anything. Later that night, Yalin and Ling Yu sneak over to a massive building. When Yalin asks why they are skulking around here, Lingyu reveals they are at the Job Changer Association to test out his crazy new gear. The front desk clerk asks about their levels for combat training, and Yalin says he is level 16. The clerk happily offers a cheap training room built for rookies under level 20, but Yalin declines and boldly demands a high-end room designed for level 40 instead. Stunned, the clerk complies, sending him into a massive, dark arena packed with thousands of stone training dummies. Standing in the center, Yalin draws his starry skyblade. No cameras, no eyes. He can finally go all out. He lunges forward, triggering his forbidden spell, Burning Cycle, to test the blade. Moving at blinding speeds, he carves through the sea of stone dummies, turning them to absolute dust and creating a massive shockwave. Looking at the massive wreckage, our boy is highly pleased with his new toy. Honestly, these targets never stood a chance. Now, time for more experiments. Outside, Lingyu and the clerk listen to the deafening explosions shaking the walls. Lingyu chuckles, saying his boss gets a bit intense, while the clerk assumes this hard work will pay off. The heavy doors swing open. Yalin drags himself out, totally drained. When Lingyu asks why he stopped, Yalin just sighs he needs a nap. He asks if he needs to pay for any broken gear inside, but the clerk just laughs, knowing a level 16 kid couldn't possibly scratch a room designed for level 40 professionals. Leaving the clueless clerk behind, Yalin heads out. The clerk slides the heavy door open and is instantly frozen in pure shock at the absolute annihilation inside. Back at the G family mansion, night falls as guards patrol the gate. Out of nowhere, one guard's throat is slashed, and before his partner can even react, he gets dragged into the shadows. Inside his office, Chairman G hears a strange noise. Suddenly, his butler Uncle Fu stumbles inside, bleeding heavily. But before he can even utter a warning, a cold blade pierces his chest from behind. Ken steps right over the dying butler, flashing a wicked grin and twirling his dagger. Chairman G quickly draws a gun, but Ken moves with insane speed, dodging the bullet and slashing the old man's hand. Ken pins the chairman to the floor, grinding his face into the rug and mocking him for bringing a gun to an awakener fight. Just then, a goon reports that their main targets are gone. Realizing Yalin and Lingyu are nowhere to be found, a pissed-off Ken decides to keep Chairman G alive as a hostage, ordering his men to drag him away. Soon, our heroes return home. Lights out, dead silence. Yalin immediately smells blood in the air. They sprint inside, only to find the foyer covered in the cold bodies of their guards. Lingyu freezes, chest heaving, but Yalin snaps at him to stay sharp. As the kid screams for his father, Yalin spots a messy scribble left on the table. The ransom note demands Yalin go to the black market to save Chairman Gi, or they will slice a piece of flesh off the old man every hour. Lingyu grinds his teeth, bloodshot eyes promising murder. Yalin grips the shaking kid's shoulder, telling him to stay hidden while he handles Chairman Gi's rescue. But Lingyu refuses to back down, forcing Yalin to chop him hard across the neck, dropping him cold. He lays Lingyu on the mattress, swearing to bring his father back. Stepping into the cold night, he yanks his hood low, ready to show Ken what a dying forbidden spellcaster is truly capable of. Deep inside the rusted ruins of the Ching Ching black market, Yalin slips through the shadows. Mask pulled high, he presses against a crumbling wall, eyes locked on the heavily armed guards. He prays the old man is still breathing, but a sudden flashlight beam hits his face. Yalin tenses, jaw tight. He did not expect them to spot him this fast. Heavy boots crunch on gravel as red laser dots paint Yalin's chest. They mock his dark clothes, but he sees the high-tech infrared lenses tracking his every move through the darkness. The lead guard grins. The boss has been expecting him. Yalin does not bother talking. He steps forward, veins pulsing black as he violently ignites his forbidden spell-burning cycle. Since his right kidney just grew back, Yalin sacrifices his left one this time. The raw, internal agony hits him like a hammer, making him gasp and double over. The thugs scream to open fire. Yalin throws himself upward, twisting through the air with terrifying speed as a hail of lead tears through the empty space behind him. An ethereal shockwave detonates in the narrow alley. Activating his ephemeral dance, Yalin blurs through the guards, slicing throats. He growls that none of them are leaving alive, shouting Ken's name into the dark. A razor-sharp blade of pressurized wind slams into Yalin, dragging him back across the concrete. He slides to a halt, low to the ground, recognizing the high-tier elemental magic instantly. The caster is definitely above level 30. Two elite guards step from a heavy door. The woman sneers at his solo suicide mission, but her partner warns her that Ken wants the kid breathing. Yalin grips his hilt. They will make perfect whetstones for his forbidden lifespan sword skill. The spearman thrusts with howling wind, but Yalin defleshes the blow, unleashing his first heavy slash. Steel clashes on steel before the black-haired woman leaps into the melee, swinging wild. Yalin ducks her blade, executing his second slash. The woman laughs at his weak attempt, and her partner brags that it barely tickled. Yalin just cold smiles, telling them the real pain is coming. His blade accelerates, carving massive, blinding arcs of destructive light. He fires off the third and fourth slashes in a heartbeat, then unleashes a relentless barrage from the fifth to the eighth strike. The spearman freezes. His partner is down. Yalin clutches his burning chest, flesh tearing from the immense recoil. Yalin looms over the bleeding spearman, telling him he will not live long enough to comprehend this power. With a quiet breath, he drives his sword deep into his ribs. The dying woman crawls backward, trembling and whispering that he is a literal monster, as dark energy eats her alive. Yalin simply points a glowing finger, extinguishing her voice forever. Walking past a trail of fresh corpses, Yalin mutters that nobody gets to escape. Down the hall, 3 panicked guards flee a massive blast, screaming that the freak won't die. Yalin climbs the blood-stained concrete steps, casually harvesting lives while keeping count of his strikes. Suddenly, his breathing falters. He stops, feeling a suffocating, heavy pressure waiting above. He tells the shadow not to run, then curses because he lost track of his slashes. Standing at the top is Duchi, a level 42 behemoth and the black market's top killer. Duchi grins down at him, amused that Yalin is still breathing. Yalin eyes the massive, heavy axe in the brute's hands, telling him to drop the steel if he wants to talk. Raising the giant axe, Duchi roars that he will dissect Yalin's corpse. Yalin's eyes glow blue as he forcefully restarts his self-destructive spell-burning cycle. Their weapons collide with a deafening boom as Yalin blurs into his ephemeral dance. Duchi laughs like a maniac, realizing he is fighting a forbidden mage who is actively burning his own life force. Yalin spits blood. Clutching his broken ribs, he realizes a level 42 opponent is no joke. This is raw, overwhelming force. Duchi cackles, mocking Yalin for waving a sword around when he is supposed to be a caster. He sneers that Yalin's blade skills are incredibly sloppy. Ignoring the taunts, Yalin hyper-focuses on finding a blind spot, but the giant axe shears through his guard, cutting his chest open and blasting him through a solid stone wall. Yalin gasps for air in the rubble as Duchi struts forward, saying he is barely warmed up. Slumped against the stone, Yalin realizes close-quarters blade fighting against a master is suicide, but his cheat code kicks in. Golden, warm energy leaks from his torn flesh, stitching his chest back together. Unfazed, Yalin pushes himself off the floor, eyes cold. He whispers that the brute has forced his hand. With a dark grin, Yalin offers a massive sacrifice, throwing his liver, kidney, and guts into the spellcraft furnace. The heavy sacrifice instantly turns the sky above the city pitch black. A colossal, crackling blue lightning dragon coils around the skyscrapers, roaring into the storm. Blinding blue lightning vaporizes the concrete as the dragon plunges down. Trapped in the center of the holy storm, Duchi's flesh disintegrates into ash as he screams in disbelief. Standing inside the smoking crater, Yalin laughs at his bad swordsmanship but gives his thunder magic a perfect 10. He tells the ashes to give the devil his regards. Sacrificing multiple organs at once hits him like a freight train. Yalin stumbles, vision blurring as he desperately clings to his arm to keep from collapsing. Meanwhile, Ken is relaxing in bed with his woman. When she asks if the invading kid is a threat, Ken shrugs it off, confident that Duchi has already dealt with him. As he feeds her a strawberry, she giggles and calls him a tease. Then the entire wall and heavy door detonate inward, raining concrete shards over the bed. Yalin steps through the smoke, demanding to know where Chairman G is. Ken scrambles up, screaming about his hitman. Yalin simply lunges, cold-eyed, stating everyone is dead and Ken is next. Ken sidesteps the thrust effortlessly, mocking the kid's speed. In a flash of motion, his heavy hand snaps out and clamps tightly around Yalin's neck. Activating his crushing hand skill, Ken snaps Yalin's windpipe, telling him to learn his lesson in the next life. But his jaw drops when Yalin simply stares back, entirely unfazed. Yalin tilts his head, whispering that they are just getting started. To completely break his opponent, he raises a bloody hand to his face, clawing at his own left eye. Giant, glowing blue eye materializes behind him, freezing Ken solid from the waist down. As the boss panics, Yalin presses his cold sword to Ken's throat, demanding Chairman G's location, or he starts slicing limbs. Ken howls in raw pain as the crackling energy chars his arms to a crisp. Suddenly, the half-naked woman from the bed bursts in, a heavy handgun shaking in her grip. She aims the gun straight at Chairman Gi, who is tied and bleeding in the corner. She screams at Yalin to let Ken go, or she will put a bullet through the old man's head. Yalin notices her hesitating and jokingly asks if they are trading hostages. But Ken, coughing up blood, screams at her to leave. His fragile ego apparently cannot handle being rescued by a girl. She panics, screams, and unloads her gun straight into our boy's chest. But because he is basically a walking cheat code, the bullets do nothing. She is absolutely terrified. Ken yells at her to run, warning her this kid is unkillable as Yalin's wounds instantly vanish. Desperate, the boss begs the young mage to kill him instead. Leave the innocent girl out of it. Tired of the yap session, Yalin decides he is done listening and deletes Ken with one clean swing of his blade. With the boss dead, he turns to face the crying woman. Since his gentleman code forbids harming girls, Yalin leaves her there. He slings the unconscious Chairman Gi over his shoulder and walks off under her silent gaze. Back at the estate, Ling Yu reunites with his recovering dad. When the chairman asks how they survived, Yalin blames it on a mysterious, top-tier master named Ling Yu. Supposedly, he wrecked the market. The chairman is highly skeptical, having never heard of this fearsome powerhouse. Yalin just plays dumb, claiming he barely knows the guy and only met him by pure chance. Sensing his savior wants to keep things private, the old man lets it slide. He tells them to focus on the upcoming final exam instead. Get ready. Yalin nods along. Suddenly, their chat is cut short as the door flies open. 3 suit-wearing government agents burst in, dramatically declaring that nobody is leaving. Officer Huang steps forward, accusing our boy of being connected to a recent murder case in the city. Flashing an arrest warrant, he demands the young mage come with them. Our boy does not even sweat. Realizing that fighting the law is way too much hassle right now, he decides to play nice and go along with them. Ling Yu is ready to throw hands, but Yalin tells him to chill and asks the chairman for help. The old man promises to get the absolute best lawyer on the case. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Juga Chening bursts into his daughter's room to announce they finally have some solid news on the mysterious powerhouse. She gets incredibly excited, asking if they found him, but her dad tells her to go get dressed first. As the old astrologer walks down the hallway, he lets out a weak cough. He wonders when this crazy kid will actually start relying on him, especially after defeating Ken completely solo. Before long, we find ourselves inside the local investigation bureau. Yalin sits in a dim interrogation room, keeping his mouth shut until his legal help arrives. But the investigator has zero patience, grabbing him by the collar to demand a secret item. Yalin acts clueless, so the corrupt cop slams him hard against the wall, demanding the key he stole from Ken. Slumped on the floor, our boy is genuinely confused about this key, so he decides to bluff, claiming he has it but not on him. He warns them that if they kill him, they can kiss that key goodbye. The investigator grabs him by the hair, thrilled by the confession. But Yalin negotiates he will only talk if they let him walk right out of this place. Instead, the guy punches him right in the face, sending blood flying. When our hero asks to make a phone call, the cop laughs and says he should have done that earlier. Clutching the phone, Yalin swears he will make this guy pay 10 times over. And get this, just 10 minutes later, Juga Chening himself walks in, making the corrupt cop instantly pale. Without missing a beat, the old man hands over a key. The investigator grabs it and immediately lets Yalin go, claiming their business is officially finished. Standing up, Yalin wonders how on earth this old man got Ken's key and what kind of massive conspiracy he is stepping into. Still, he politely thanks him for the rescue. Juga Chening explains he had his own reasons, warning that if the public finds out Yalin has an undying body, the whole world will hunt him down. Shocked, our boy wonders if he needs to silence him. He asks what he means by immortal, but the astrologer catches that brief flash of murder in the kid's eyes, fully confirming his suspicions about those insane healing abilities. The old man remarks that acting weak while being unkillable fits the ancient myths perfectly. When Yalin asks what he wants, the master offers to make him his official apprentice. Totally baffled, Yalin asks why. The old man coughs, explaining he does not have much time left and wants to pass down his legacy to a capable successor. Pointing to the key in the master's hand, Yalin asks if he did not just hand it over. The old man chuckles, explaining that one was a fake, and this is the real apocalypse key. He explains that when the gates opened, demons poured out along with 7 ancient origin artifacts that fell to Earth. These incredibly powerful treasures are scattered everywhere, and this key is the only thing that can unlock those mysterious gates. He asks if Yalin will become his disciple to help finish the job. Knowing his secret is out, and he has 0 options, Yalin agrees, but honestly doubts he is up for it. The master laughs at his modesty, saying his potential at the Supreme Academy is limitless. He then drops a heavy request, asking Yalin to take care of his daughter Nini when he passes. This sudden matchmaking attempt makes Yalin scratch his head in pure awkwardness, quickly telling his master to just focus on living a very long life. Chuckling, Juga Chening tells him to take things slow with his daughter and focus on the upcoming test. Yalin agrees, suggesting they finally get out of this creepy interrogation room. Back at the mansion, Nini is standing in her pajamas in absolute shock. She is furious that her respected father would take in a supposed coward like Yalin. Chilling on the couch with his arms crossed, Yalin tells her to go ask her dad. Flushed with rage, she storms down the hallway, screaming for her father at the top of her lungs. The master appears at the stairs, totally calm. Why is she so mad? Nini points furiously at Yalin, arguing that training a forbidden mage is a total waste, since they die by age 25 anyway. Trying to quiet her down, the old man tells her to watch her mouth, revealing that this kid is actually the mysterious fire user she has been desperately searching for. Glaring at Yalin with total disgust, Nini laughs it off as a joke, calling him a coward and a liar who somehow managed to scam her poor father. She storms off, declaring she won't live under the same roof, promising to find the real master to expose him. Once she is gone, Yalin looks a bit worried and asks if he should protect her. The master waves it off, explaining that absolutely nobody in the city would dare lay a finger on his daughter. He tells him not to mind her attitude since she is good at heart. He then hands Yalin a small box containing a weird material called illusion skin, explaining it allows him to completely mask his voice and aura to look like someone else. Realizing this is incredibly useful for the upcoming exam, Yalin thanks his new master. Soon enough, the day of the final test arrives, and the academy grounds are absolutely packed. Yalin makes his way through the crowd until Lingyu runs up with a huge grin, saying he was worried his boss would flake. Yalin smiles, saying he always keeps his promises and the Ken situation is officially sorted. Nearby, Nini glares at them, still convinced her dad was scammed by this loser. Seeing her, Lingyu immediately drops his smile and glares right back. He warns her not to slander his boss without actual proof. Jugni just scoffs. She is convinced the kid is a fake and plans to expose him during the trial. The principal stands before the fleet of buses to address the crowd. Work hard, he tells them. Bring glory to Qingcheng Academy. The students roar and pump their fists. 30 minutes later, they arrive at the massive graystone walls. The students step off, staring up in absolute awe. For most, this is their very first time seeing the towering gates. Yalin and Lingyu stand at the very front, staring into the wild. Stick close, the young mage whispers. It is time to put their plan into action. A red-clad officer up on the wall yells down the rules. He warns them that they must survive a 10-kilometer trek of absolute danger to reach the test zone. Go out first, and you face the most aggressive monsters. Are you ready? He screams, and the crowd roars back. With a heavy mechanical groan, the massive gates slide open. The crowd charges. Jugni dashes forward, her eyes locked on Yalin. No way she loses to him. Meanwhile, the principal and the teachers quietly watch the chaos unfold from the high wall. The instructors doubt many will qualify for the elite Daxia Academy, but the principal just laughs. He knows his school will send at least 2. But suddenly, the students freeze at a low growl. A level 11 bloodthirsty demon lizard erupts from the ground. Panic spreads instantly. The foul stench of rot scatters them. Up on the wall, the teachers sigh in disappointment at the easy panic. The principal just laughs. Relax. Those screaming kids are not from Qingcheng Academy. Yalin sprints through the panicked crowd. He draws his starry skyblade. One clean, circular slash cuts the giant lizard right in half. The watching teachers widen their eyes in absolute shock at the weapon. Why did he not use a forbidden spell? The teachers wonder. Then again, a level 16 awakener with god-tier gear does not need it. The young mage stands over the dying beast, telling Lingyu to step up and deliver the final blow. Lingyu rushes in to finish it, instantly triggering a notification for 40 shared experience points. The other students whisper in pure envy at the easy power leveling. Some even beg Yalin to take them as subordinates. He ignores the chatter and keeps moving forward. Jugni watches his back with cold determination. Teaming up only splits the precious experience points. She resolves to go solo and destroy him in the test. Surrounded by dead monsters, Yalin and Lingyu watch their experience bars climb. Lingyu levels up. Ecstatic, the follower immediately vows his absolute lifelong loyalty. Save the cheering for later, Yalin tells him. They push deeper into the forest to hunt stronger beasts, completely unfazed by the rising level of the monsters around them. If things get crazy, we just run, the young mage says. Back at the base, the principal worries about Yalin being too reckless, but his colleague reassures him that the examiners are keeping close watch. Suddenly, 2 massive beasts crash through the bushes, a towering goat-headed demon and a pig-headed brute wearing a skull shoulder guard. The demon lets out a loud grunt. Yalin grips his sword and warns his follower to stay sharp unless he wants to lose his life right here. Lingyu grins, saying he loves living way too much to die. But Yalin knows his lifespan sword skill is too costly to use here. Instead, our hero gathers energy deep in his chest. He unleashes a devastating chant, releasing a massive blast of energy. The forbidden spell, world-ending thunder, completely obliterates the area, leaving Lingyu standing frozen in a smoking crater. Talk about absolute overkill. Looking at the smoking crater in absolute shock, Lingyu asks if the boss always cleans up monsters with this level of sheer brutality. Yalin just laughs and says this is barely the start. Meanwhile, a hidden examiner on a high rock watches them. He mutters a warning that leaving the designated area is extremely dangerous. Lingyu realizes they strayed into the restricted zone. Time to turn back. But suddenly, Yalin peers into the shadows and warns his partner to watch his back. Up on his rock, the examiner just scoffs. Nice try, kid, he thinks. I have 20 years of experience on the job and do not fall for cheap tricks. But because the examiner refuses to turn around, a gigantic, green-skinned goblin hero materializes right behind him, holding a massive spiked club. Yalin screams a warning as the monster roars. The examiner finally turns and freezes in pure horror at the level 33 boss. Lingyu yells for everyone to run, but the giant immediately slams its spiked club down. Yalin calls the guy a stubborn idiot for ignoring him. The massive shockwave throws them both across the ground. Go, Yalin tells his friend. Run while I distract this thing. Lingyu refuses to leave his side, wanting to escape together. But Yalin kicks him away and yells to stop talking and just run. After pushing his friend to safety, Yalin glares at the beast. Killing this without exposing his true power is going to be tough. He charges in, activating his forbidden spell, Sudden Dance. The examiner struggles up, telling Yalin to run while he signals for help. But the goblin lands a brutal punch, sending the man straight to the dirt as he cries out. Yalin rushes over and drags the knocked-out guard into the shadow of the trees. A massive blast echoes in the distance. He silently hopes the man stays asleep so he does not expose his powers. He stares at the beast, wondering why the backup flare went off. Peering through the thick dust, he spots two new figures arriving on the battlefield. A red-haired woman and a man in a black coat land nearby. They yell at the student to get back so they do not accidentally crush him. Yalin quickly explains that the examiner is hurt and he is carrying him to safety. Once hidden in the shade, our boy pulls out a mask, realizing it is the perfect time to test his illusion skin. He slaps on the mask, instantly transforming into the unconscious examiner. Meanwhile, the red-haired woman faces the beast, wanting to kill it quickly so it does not disrupt the exam. Our hero steps out of the shadows, looking intense. He confidently tells the two newcomers that he is here to help his fellow examiners deal with this threat. He pools energy in his hand. A massive golden arrow forms in the air, the forbidden spell, Eternal Arrow. It strikes the goblin's head, unleashing a massive blast that vaporizes the beast. System alerts pop up immediately, awarding him massive experience and a rare symbiotic talisman. The disguised Yalin casually remarks that the drop rates on these bosses are terrible, leaving the other two staring in shock. Realizing their kill was just stolen, the male examiner demands to know which department he belongs to. The young mage just waves them off, refusing to give his real name and calling himself a kind stranger. The red-haired woman is completely annoyed by the attitude, so they just ignore him and move on. Once the examiners leave, Yalin sheds his disguise and returns to normal. He checks his tactical map, noting he is still far from the final test teleportation gate. With the unconscious guard resting nearby, Yalin smiles at how useful his illusion skin is. He then pulls out the symbiotic talisman he just looted to check the details. The system reveals that two players with less than a 10-level gap can completely share experience for 6 hours, basically working like an insane double experience boost. Suddenly, a frantic scream echoes through the trees. Lingyu is running for his life from a jacked Anubis monster holding a massive staff. The beast swings, but Yalin swoops in to snatch his follower out of harm's way. He grabs Lingyu's hand to slap on a talisman, burning a matching yin-yang mark onto their palms. Lingyu gets all teary-eyed and flustered by the sudden hand-holding. But before he can start drafting wedding vows, the jackal monster sneaks up right behind them. Totally annoyed by the mood killer, Yalin tells his helper to focus. He draws his blade in one smooth motion, unleashing his forbidden lifespan sword skill. A blinding flash of light completely disintegrates the monster into ash. The system feeds him the sweet news level 13 Anubis defeated, 130 experience points gained, and symbiosis activated. Lingyu stares at his glowing hands, totally amazed by this massive power share, but Yalin just waves him off, telling him to go grind monsters alone so they can abuse this experience-sharing exploit. Lingyu pouts a little as he walks away, but he gets the big brain play. Nearby, a red-skinned werewolf corners a bunch of terrified students. But Yalin flashes across the field with insane speed, summoning 3 spectral skeletons that instantly pulverize the monsters. The students just stare in absolute shock, recognizing him from the earlier trials. Since his class is forbidden, they assume he is just burning his own lifespan for quick kills. But as they spot his glowing bracelet, Yalin quickly hides his insane healing cheats and eyes a fresh, level 20 minotaur. The giant beast sends everyone scattering, but Yalin just stands there like a boss, letting the cowards run while he keeps all the high-level experience for himself. He lets loose a massive, sweeping strike that completely vaporizes every monster in the zone, then calmly slides his sword back into its scabbard. Meanwhile, deep in the woods, Lingyu just stands around as a never-ending flood of free experience points scrolls across his vision. Lingyu is over the moon to have this sweet, exclusive level-boosting cheat all to himself. Meanwhile, back at the Academy Observatory, the principal sighs at his monitor, wishing this brilliant kid was not cursed with a forbidden class. But hey, the student casualty rate has plummeted because Yalin is basically playing lawnmower with all the deadly monsters. Thanks to his hard work, the weaker kids can stroll through the woods like it is a public park. They happily walk toward the exit portal, laughing about how great it is to be fashionably late. Meanwhile, Yalin finally reaches the base of the giant stairs leading up to the floating portal. Checking his stats, he sees he is already level 18, but the experience bar is getting ridiculously steep. With a shrug, he starts walking up the steps toward the light. Walking through, he lands in a spooky, dark hall filled with floating rocks and giant black pillars. The entire place is packed with chatty students waiting for the next round. Suddenly, Lingyu runs over, practically vibrating with excitement as he brags about hitting level 15. Annoyed by the loud fanboying, Yalin peels the clingy guy off and tells him to shut it before everyone starts staring. Nearby, Jugani glares at everyone, totally annoyed that all her hard work only got her 2 measly levels. Still, she is highly confident her actual combat skills will carry her through. Suddenly, the examiners appear on the high platform, and Chief Examiner Lin Yuan calls the room to order. He welcomes the candidates, telling them the forest run was just a basic warm-up. Now, the real exam begins, split into a comprehensive test and an all-out ring battle. The comprehensive portion has 10 stages, worth 10 points each, and they need at least 85 points just to qualify for the arena fights. In the arena, each victory earns 10 points, capping out at 150 to crown the ultimate champion. Warning them not to use any illegal cheat items, Lin Yuan sends them in groups of 10. As Yalin heads toward his portal, he prepares to carve out his own future. Up in the VIP room, Supervisor Su Chong drops by to chat with Lin Yuan. When she asks about the top prospects, he pulls up Yelin's profile, showing his ridiculous level 18 status. She is totally shocked, since that is high enough for the legendary Supreme Academy. But she sighs, calling it a tragic waste that he ended up as a forbidden class. Lin Yuan agrees, lamenting that if not for that curse, their city would have birthed a god-tier powerhouse. Yalin easily bags a perfect 10 points, boasting 480 strength, 270 agility, and 1199 mana. This absurd stat spread leaves the other examiners deeply confused, wondering why a squishy mage needs physical muscle. Lin Yuan just tells them to wait for the third stage, the devastating attack test. Standing before the target, Yalin tries to figure out how to pass without showing off his godly chaos thunder. To keep it low-key, he grabs his neck to activate a minor spell, sacrificing his own tonsils. He casts world-destroying thunder, and the resulting blast completely vaporizes the target dummy. The female examiner gasps, because that dummy was rated to survive, hits up to level 25. Lin Yuan is left utterly speechless that this kid is casually tossing forbidden spells during a simple school test. After that, Yalin cruises through the next few rounds, testing his agility and explosive power, sustained damage, and escape abilities, securing perfect marks everywhere. Looking at the scores, Lin Yuan sighs, fearing this absolute genius might not even survive to his 20th birthday. When an examiner suggests turning up the heat, Lin Yuan asks Su Chong if the Supreme Academy would accept Yalin with a perfect sheet. She says no, explaining they will not waste money on someone who burns his lifespan for power. Instead, she prefers prospects like Luo Jun, Wang Zhonglin, Zhugani, and Lingyu. Once the tests wrap up, everyone exits the portals. Lingyu rushes over to brag about his solid 96 points, but Yalin just dryly asks why he missed those last 4 points. Nearby, one poor kid cries over his miserable 55 points, while another sighs with relief after barely scraping past the 85-point cutoff. Lin Yuan displays the leaderboard, showing Yalin and Zhugani tied for first place with 100 points, followed by Luo Jun at 98, and Lingyu close behind. Lin Yuan orders all the low scorers to pack up and leave, but right then, Zhugani stomps forward, absolutely furious that she is ranked second despite getting a perfect score. She is highly offended to be placed under Yalin. The crowd starts whispering, and some girls even begin shouting that the system is totally biased. To shut down the drama, Lin Yuan calls for quiet and slaps the test recordings right onto the big screen. He admits Zhugani is skilled, but points out that Yalin deleted a level 25 demonic wolf in literally half a second with one basic move. Well, that shut them up real quick. Since nobody is complaining, Chief Examiner Lin Yuan gives everyone scoring over 85 a half-hour break to prepare. Meanwhile, the principal of Qingcheng Academy is absolutely loving life, laughing with the other masters as they shower him with praise. With their school locking down both first and second place on the leaderboard, the masters can already feel a massive shift coming. The principal proudly bragged that their own Lingyu is sitting in fourth place too. But another master warns him to calm down, since the real battle is only just starting. But the principal just scoffs, asking if Lu Jun can actually handle a level 18 forbidden spellcaster. But the master warns him that anything can happen in the arena. Once the break ends, Zugani marches right up to Yalin and declares she has no intention of losing to him. Our poor hero is left completely clueless, wondering why she is suddenly picking a fight with him. Chief Examiner Lin Yuan finally gets the tournament rolling, pulling up a massive digital bracket on the screen. He explains the matchmaking logic basically. Your opponent is whoever helps your serial numbers add up to 104. The screen flashes to show Yalin is matched against number 86, a girl named Bei. Seeing this, Ling Yu points excitedly at the bracket, shouting that his own number is 24. Yalin tells him to go all out and heads down to face his opponent. Standing across from him is Bei, a level 10 water mage who looks ready to fight. As the examiner tells them to reveal their levels, Yalin calmly suggests his classmate should just throw in the towel. She refuses to back down, yelling that she won't let him look down on her. Respecting her grit, Yalin acknowledges that anyone scoring over 85 is the real deal. But then, he lifts his hand, and a massive lightning dragon comes crashing down from the heavens. The sheer pressure of his spell terrifies the entire crowd, and Bei can only stare up in absolute horror. Even the examiner panics, screaming at Yalin that killing his opponent means instant disqualification. Yalin is honestly baffled by the warning he was not trying to murder her, just get her to quit. Meanwhile, poor Bei is on the ground, crying and shaking from pure terror. Seeing a cute girl in tears, the crowd immediately turns on our hero, whispering about how ruthless he is. Yalin just pushes up his glasses, completely unfazed, and asks her to surrender again. Bei is quickly escorted out, and the examiner declares Yalin the winner, adding 10 marks to his score. Our boy is actually a bit disappointed the fight ended so fast, so he decides to scout out the other matches. Over on another stage, Zugani absolutely demolishes her opponent with a fire spell, laughing that they never stood a chance. Nearby, another student wrapped in dark energy boasts loudly over a fallen rival. Nearby, Ling Yu stands triumphantly over his opponent, completely hyped to finally experience the thrill of crushing someone through a massive gap in levels. Once the first round wraps up, the examiner calls for the second round to begin. This time, Yalin is matched against a level 11 cloud-stepping swordsman named Chen Chongchen. This swordsman puts on a brave face, declaring that despite the odds, he still intends to win. Yalin draws his weapon, bracing himself for some secret ultimate technique, but Chen Chongchen suddenly raises his hand and shouts that he surrenders. He just walks away, leaving our boy completely dumbfounded. When Yalin yells after him about his big speech, Chen Chongchen coolly replies that revenge can wait, and they will meet again. The baffled examiner has no choice but to award Yalin another 10 marks. The crowd can only mutter in agreement honestly. Nobody wants to risk their actual life fighting an overpowered, short-lived, forbidden spellcaster just for a school tournament. Come round 3. A massive, muscular dude in a tank top takes one look at Yalin, sighs about his terrible luck, and immediately surrenders. The examiner awards Yalin another 10 marks. Our protagonist stands there with his jaw on the floor. Seriously, how do his opponents keep surrendering without a single strike? Everyone in the crowd is losing their minds over how easily Yalin is breezewalking through the exam. While some wonder if he is going to get a perfect score without lifting a finger, others suggest watching the actual matches. Suddenly, a high-speed duel erupts between Wang Zhongguang and Lu Jun, with Wang mocking his rival about getting kicked down to the loser's bracket. Spectators watch in awe, realizing these two are on a whole different level of speed and power. Meanwhile, Supervisor Su Chengxin calmly predicts that Lu Jun has got this in the bag. Seconds later, Lu Jun lunges forward, his spear cloaked in dark, swirling energy as he unleashes his devastating Shadow Cloud Pierce technique. That massive blow connects cleanly, completely shattering the stone arena floor as Wang Zhongguang screams in agony. Meanwhile, Yalin is literally sitting on the sidelines, dying of sheer boredom. Our protagonist gets a bye for the 5th round, which only annoys him more. But his frustration vanishes when he notices a sudden update on the tournament bracket. He spots that Ling Yu is set to go head-to-head with Zugani, which actually promises to be a great fight. On the stage, Ling Yu grips his sword, staring up at Zugani as she floats in the air. Floating with her glowing spellbook open, Zugani looks down in confusion, demanding to know why on earth he serves Yalin and what his boss even gave him. Ling Yu glares back with absolute loyalty, shouting that Yalin is his boss, and she is going to regret underestimating them. Zugani calls him stubborn and immediately unleashes her Phoenix Flame explosion, sending a barrage of fireballs his way. Feeling the scorching heat, Lingyu panics, realizing her fire spells are all instant cast. As a close combat fighter against a long-range mage, he is at a massive disadvantage. Knowing a single hit could finish him, he desperately dodges the explosions tearing up the arena. Zugani raises her hand, summoning a massive column of fire and mocking him, asking how long he can keep running. Lingyu dashes across the stage, barely slipping past the fire, tornadoes and geysers bursting from the ground. He suddenly stops, looking up with fierce determination in his eyes. Realizing he cannot just dodge forever, he decides to counterattack. He leaps into the air, using his sword skill to slice right through the flames with a heavy wave of energy. As the smoke clears, Lingyu lands on his feet, panting and covered in sweat, declaring he is ready to keep going. Zugani just looks down coldly, calling him an idiot and telling him to give up. She casts a massive flame surge, creating a towering wall of fire that completely swallows Lingyu. Yet from inside the blaze, Lingyu shouts that anyone underestimating him will pay, though Zugani just laughs it off. Watching the inferno, Yalin quietly admits to himself that his loyal follower is simply no match for the fire mage. Up in the stands, Lin Yuan and Su Chengxin watch the raging fire, with Su Chengxin noting that Lingyu is finished. Panicked by the heat, Lin Yuan wonders if the kid is insane and tells the medical team to get ready. But as the flames begin to part, a dark silhouette is still standing inside the fire, leaving Zugani completely frozen in shock. Lingyu steps out of the ashes, his clothes shredded and half his face and shoulder blackened by severe burns. He lunges forward, warning her that she can pick a fight with him, but she better not touch his boss. Shocked by his sheer will, Zugani can only watch as Lingyu finally blackouts and collapses face first onto the ground. Yalin rushes to his side, calling out his name in sheer panic. Examiners and medics rush onto the stage, shouting for immediate medical help. Kneeling beside him, Yalin quickly places a protective yin-yang bangle over his chest to shield his heart. Zugani stands nearby, looking incredibly guilty and admitting she never expected him to push himself so far. Yalin gently reassures her, knowing it wasn't her fault. Medics confirm Lingyu will survive, though he is looking like a crispy marshmallow right now. As they wheel him away, he begs Yalin to absolutely destroy the rest of the competition. Right after, the examiners pull up the new digital bracket for the quarterfinals, showing that Zugani will fight Lin Ling Ling Lin, while Yalin goes up against Lu Jun. One of these 4 finalists is guaranteed to walk away as the top scorer of the year. Up in the booths, Principal Su is already celebrating the victory of Lu Jun, totally dismissing a level 18 forbidden spellcaster. Principal Gao of Qingqing Academy instantly fires back, bragging about the achievements of his own student. Their petty bickering is cut short though, because it is finally game time. Down on the stage, Lu Jun grips his edgy Shadow Dragon spear, staring down Yalin, absolutely desperate to prove he is the real deal. Lu Jun charges forward, screaming that crushing Yalin is his destiny to claim the peak. Meanwhile, our main character just stands there looking completely bored by the whole villain monologue. The match officially starts and Lu Jun rushes in like a rocket, screaming for a surrender. But instead of casting a massive spell, Yalin just pulls out his sword and casually blocks the attack. Yalin decides to keep his crazy forbidden spells a secret for now, testing his lifespan sword skill instead. This sudden swordplay completely rattles Lu Jun, who never expected a squishy mage to be this buff. With a clean parry, Yalin swings his blade in a wide, glowing arc, forcing the attacker back while casually explaining how his overpowered sword technique actually works. Everyone watching is thoroughly confused. The students are whispering, wondering why a literal god-tier forbidden mage is doing physical sword combat instead of throwing massive spells. Up on the VIP platform, the masters instantly recognize the move, prompting Principal Su to ask if this is some sort of hidden forbidden spell. Principal Gao confirms it is the lifespan sword skill, a dangerous style that trades the life force of the user to make each swing hit 10 times harder. This triggers a massive argument between the two principals over whether a school tournament is worth throwing your life away. Of course, Principal Su does not care about ethics at all. Wanting to wrap things up before he drains his own life, Yalin warns Lu Jun to surrender. But instead of backing down, this warning just pushes his desperate opponent completely over the edge. Looking totally insane, Lu Jun pulls out an illegal forbidden spell talisman, unleashing a terrifying wave of dark energy. The sudden blast catches Yalin off guard. Realizing his opponent is cheating with banned high-tier items, Lu Jun leaps high into the air, his spear surging with a dark, demonic aura, before unleashing the Shadow Dragon meteor directly into the chest of Yalin. Blood splatters everywhere as the dust clears, showing the spear driven straight through the chest of Yalin. Believing he has won, Lu Jun smirks and tells him to prepare for the afterlife. The crowd goes dead silent, People start whispering in anger, knowing that cheating with a forbidden spell talisman will permanently ruin the body of that kid anyway. The examiners mutter about how Yukai Academy would tolerate cheating just to win first place. This sparks a massive screaming match between the two principals. Though the Yukai Academy headmaster completely ignores the cheating and claims a win is a win. On the sidelines, Jugani watches in pure disbelief. Just as Jugani starts regretting that Yalin did not take her advice, her father, Jugchening, quietly tells her that the fight is far from over. While Lu Jun keeps gloating, the eyes of Yalin flare open. He asks who said this fight was over, and to the absolute horror of Lu Jun, the young mage stands up and yanks the spear from his chest. He explains that a forbidden mage can only be killed by their own magic, never by others. Channeling energy over his heart, Yalin activates his undying spell, trading a chunk of life force to fully heal. Now watch, because the entire arena goes wild after realizing this forbidden class is literally immortal. The examiners are sweating buckets, realizing this kid did not just learn a lost spell, but is casually healing himself with zero panic. Yalin then raises his hand, crackling with raw electrical energy. With a freezing stare, Yalin unleashes the world-destroying thunder, sending a massive pillar of lightning straight up to consume Lu Jun, leaving him completely roasted on the floor. The chief examiner rushes in to declare Yalin the winner while screaming for medics. As the chaos settles, Yalin just stares up at the VIP deck where the schoolmasters are watching. Satisfied, Yalin drops to his knees and coughs up some blood. Up above, one of the masters starts panicking, thinking the forbidden spell backfired and shredded the internal organs of the poor kid. Luckily, Yalin is totally fine, just faking the heavy injuries to keep his rapid regeneration skill a complete secret. Principal Su immediately steps up to demand justice, claiming that Qing City Academy basically attempted murder on a level 14 job changer. Principal Gao quickly defends his kid, leading to a massive shouting match before Principal Su threatens to drag this all the way to the Ministry of Education. While they argue, Yalin quietly sits on the floor, thinking about how this exam is way more exhausting than dealing with Ken. Suddenly, a pair of red boots steps right into his view. Jugani stands over him, offering to postpone their match so she does not have to fight him while he is hurt. Not caring at all, Yalin coldly rejects her proposal. 30 minutes fly by before the final round is called. Jugani enters the arena, determined to dodge any dangerous forbidden spells, while Yalin is just wondering how to win without breaking her. Knowing her father, Jugchening, will not let Yalin off if she gets hurt, Jugani starts the match by launching a massive barrage of explosive phoenix fireballs. Yalin uses his high-speed sudden dance technique to dodge the blasts, planning to just stall until she runs out of mana. Watching him run away, the audience starts to whisper. Some assume his previous spell drained all his energy, while others whisper that he is going easy on her because he is the new student of her father. Jugani gets super annoyed, accusing Yalin of trying to humiliate her. Our boy just asks if dodging is illegal, which makes her even angrier. She unleashes a massive red flame surge, sending a wave of fire across the arena. Yalin is totally unfazed, deciding it is time to end this by using a speed boost to close the gap. He suddenly appears right in front of Jugani with his blade drawn, announcing her defeat. Thoroughly humiliated, she trembles with rage and fires another round of fireballs as he backs away. Jugani then centers her energy, surrounding herself with glowing scrolls and intense heat. The audience can feel the heat as she casts a massive fire tornado, chasing our boy across the stage. Realizing it is a homing skill, Yalin simply stops running. He suddenly appears right behind Jugani, whispering that using a homing skill against a faster opponent is a terrible mistake. He calmly advises her to just give up and cancel the skill. Refusing to accept defeat, she stubbornly declares she will take them both down. Up on the observation deck, Jugchening watches in absolute horror as officials frantically order guards to step in. Dwarfed by the towering pillars of fire, Yalin stares at the dangerous display, silently thinking that this girl is completely out of her mind. Without wasting a single second, Yalin lunges straight through the roaring flames and grabs Jugani by her shoulder. With his arm outstretched toward a massive black sigil forming in the air, Yalin pulls her close and screams the word, "Sacrifice." Suddenly, a gargantuan gate erupts from the ground, featuring a terrifying stone demon head with glowing red eyes right at its center. This is the legendary forbidden spell, the Wailing Wall. To summon it, the caster must trade away their very lifespan. It blocks everything. Unless the attacker is 20 levels higher, they cannot break it. And right on cue, the demon's jaw drops open. The twisting pillars of fire get violently sucked directly into the open mouth of the stone monster. The flames completely vanish into the void, leaving only smoke. As the gate looms over the arena, the crowd of students is frozen in shock. How could a mere examinee cast a forbidden spell? Meanwhile, Yalin is absolutely exhausted. He thanks his lucky stars. If he had not unlocked this spell, he would have been completely toast. He stands next to a totally dazed Jugani. He looks down with a playful grin, telling her to stop daydreaming and fix her messy hair. Jugani immediately blushes deep crimson and quickly turns her face away. Her heart pounds wildly, making her wonder if this guy is actually kind of cool. The crowd gossips instantly, imagining a proud princess falling for her surprisingly gentle knight. They even whisper that Yalin only dodged her attacks earlier because he was too afraid of hurting her. Then, out of absolutely nowhere and talk about ruining a romantic moment, Yalin kicks Jugani straight out of the ring, sending her landing face first outside the line. Everyone watches in disbelief while Master Juga Chening covers his face in pure embarrassment. Sitting in the dirt, Jugani glares back with absolute fury, screaming that this is definitely not over. Examiner Lin Yuan steps up. He declares Yalin the winner of the tournament, awarding him 10 marks. That spectacular victory brings Yalin to a grand total of 150 marks. He is the undisputed top scorer of Qing City, and the entire crowd goes wild. He smiles, relieved that the trial is finally over. When an excited student from the crowd asks about his future plans, Yalin proudly announces his target, the elite Supreme Academy. The entire stadium erupts in massive cheers, chanting the name of the prestigious school over and over again, but the high-energy hype is instantly cut short. Supervisor Su Chongqin steps forward with a cold, serious expression, completely shattering his dreams by announcing he cannot enter the Supreme Academy. Confused, Yalin asks her why. She bluntly explains that because he is a forbidden spellcaster with a maximum lifespan of only 24 years, the Academy sees zero value in training him. A heavy silence falls. Yalin quietly accepts the decision without putting up any argument. Around them, the other shocked students start whispering in pity. They agree. Why train someone with such a short life? Suddenly, Master Juga Chening steps forward to intervene. He urges her to wait, claiming he has found a potential solution. When Su Chongqin demands an explanation, the master proudly asserts that he has developed a brand new method to minimize spell damage. Check his body, he challenges them. Let's run a thorough physical exam to prove it. But the examiner and principal remain highly skeptical of his claim. Su Chongqin scoffs at his claim. Does he really think his expertise matches the Academy's professors? Who is going to pay back the wasted resources if this kid still dies before turning 25? The argument gets incredibly intense as they clash over the future of a doomed genius. Nearby, the students gossip about the juicy history between these two officials, while criticizing the cruel rejection. Meanwhile, Yalin sighs. Looking completely resigned to his fate, he tells his master to drop the issue, saying he is perfectly fine skipping the academy entirely. But suddenly, a blue-cloaked speedster attacks Yalin at blinding speed, mocking his sheer arrogance. Yalin stands his ground with a furious glare, realizing his sleeve has been completely shredded to pieces. Yalin demands to know the attacker's identity. The smug jerk steps forward, revealing himself as Yun Guanlu, a first-year student from the Supreme Academy. Su Chongqin steps in, warning Yun Guanlu that another stunt like that will force her to make him write a formal apology. The unrepentant jerk just laughs, waving his hands as if he was only saying a friendly hello, while mocking Yalin for being incredibly weak. The chief examiner and the principal rush over to make sure Yalin is okay. Assuring them he is fine, he starts walking away, promising to remember this day. Yun Guanlu mocks his retreat, shouting that he is welcome to challenge him anytime since there are too many witnesses around. Yalin warns he will let it go for now, but payback is coming. When the smug elite laughs in his face, Yalin snaps, challenging him to a life-or-death duel in exactly 1 year. A deathmatch? The sudden challenge shocks Juga Chening and leaves the entire crowd whispering in utter disbelief. Yalin glares with icy eyes. Do you accept? Yun Guanlu confidently agrees, and with the deadly deal locked, Yalin walks away. Walking away, he muses that this academy might actually be fun, already plotting how he will crush them. Soon, the old principal pats Yalin on the shoulder. A crowd gathers to celebrate the new top scorer. Later on, Yalin and Juga Chening wind down together in a private lounge. Yalin asks if Jugani is okay. His master explains she is just down after her loss but will bounce back soon, relieving the boy. He then curiously asks about the history between the master and Su Chongqin. The old man admits she was actually his first love, stunning Jugani as she listens from the stairs. Yalin is stunned. They look like they are from totally different generations. The master explains they split early on, but 5 years later she wanted him back. Stepping closer, Jugani asks what happened next, while Yalin asks if they reunited. The master sighs. It was impossible because he already had a daughter. Jugani is stunned by the reveal, and Yalin finds the whole situation pretty tragic. The master tells them to drop the past, urging his daughter to focus on her studies at the Supreme Academy. She nods, and the master turns to Yalin, suggesting he should aim for Daxia Academy instead. Yelin agrees that Daxia is a great backup. The master tells them to get some proper rest before the recruiters arrive in the morning, and soon, the next day brings celebrations. The principal proudly introduces Yelin and Jugani to the city lord and teacher Su, and both students bow politely. Teacher Su hands Jugini her admission book, which she accepts with a smug, triumphant grin. She stares back at the young mage, celebrating her petty victory over her rival. Meanwhile, the old principal leads Yalin to meet the city lord. The official warmly shakes Yalin's hand, praising his incredible vibe. Slightly caught off guard by the sudden respect, Yalin quickly greets the city lord back. With cameras flashing and reporters crowding around to capture the moment, the city lord confirms that the entire 5 million prize will be paid in full. Yalin thanks him, admitting that growing up in the slums left him with a deep fear of being broke. When the city lord brings out the rewards, the young mage is shocked to find high-level skill scrolls packed inside the case. The mayor explains that Ching Chung prepared an epic self-selection scroll and an exclusive pass to the top scorer realm. Yalin stares at the token in his palm, completely stunned by his luck. Since this zone is strictly for elite high achievers, the city lord notes that players get complete damage immunity inside. Yalin instantly wonders if he can power level all the way to 99 here. The principal warns that monsters are limited, but that sweet damage immunity is still a massive cheat code for training. Patting Yalin on the shoulder, the city lord tells him to bring home the national top scorer title. The boy is caught off guard, having never even heard of a national league. The principal explains that reaching the max level in the realm practically guarantees the national crown. Knowing the prizes will be insane, Yalin confidently promises to win it all, posing for a big celebratory photo with the grinning officials. Later, Yalin walks through a quiet park with his master. The old astrologer sternly warns him not to use any skills that drain his lifespan while inside the training grounds. Yalin nods, knowing that while the realm blocks external damage, it can never freeze his actual aging process. His master confirms this, then bids him farewell to handle some business in Qingcheng, warning him to stay safe. Next, we find ourselves among the massive, towering skyscrapers of Shenzhen. Standing on a packed sidewalk, Yalin marvels at the massive city, realizing it is his very first time leaving home. He weaves through the thick, busy crowds before finally making it to the Grand Marina Hotel. A sharply dressed receptionist named Bin greets him at the door and guides him upstairs. Walking down the hallway, she mentions that the special realm is not open yet, offering her full assistance for anything he needs while waiting. Flopping onto the hotel bed with scroll in hand, Yalin sighs in sheer exhaustion. Since he arrived in Shenzhen way ahead of schedule, he figures he might as well enjoy a little sightseeing. Suddenly, a loud, aggressive pounding rattles his door as a voice demands he open up immediately. Yalin sits up, incredibly confused as to why anyone is bothering him in a single occupancy room. The door is kicked open by a furious girl sporting blonde twin tails. Standing there, she angrily asks why he is in her room, while our hero calmly asks who she is. Clenching her fists, Mishu labels him a pervert for trespassing and instantly throws a heavy punch. Yalin barely ducks the blow, letting her fist smash straight through the solid wall behind him. Mishu spins around, shocked by how fast he moved. Yalin quickly raises his hands to calm her down, insisting this is all just a huge misunderstanding. Completely ignoring him, Mishu winds up for another punch, forcing Yalin to act. Sacrificing his appendix, he summons thick, writhing wooden roots from the floor to bind her, then shows his room key and tells her to stop fighting back. He tells her his new forbidden spell is perfect for wild girls, pointing out his room number on the card 6099. Mishu stares in shock, pulling out her own room key, which also reads 6099. Yalin releases her, letting the roots vanish, but as he examines her card closer, he flips it over, revealing her actual room is 6609. Realizing the absolute chaos she just caused over a silly typo, Mishu clasps her hands together and bows, awkwardly apologizing for her wildly rash behavior. Yalin shrugs it off but kindly asks her to get hotel service to fix the ruined wall. Looking at the giant hole, a guilty Mishu offers to buy him dinner to make up for it. He turns down her money but invites her to join him for a walk instead. Strolling down the street at sunset, the young mage asks what her class is, given her terrifying physical power. She proudly introduces herself as Mishu, the top scorer from Heiken, wielding a triple S-class berserker build. Yalin replies that he hailed from the humble town of Qingcheng. Mishu assumes he got into the prestigious Supreme Academy. Yalin sighs, explaining they rejected him on the spot simply because he is a short-lived forbidden spellcaster. Stopping dead in her tracks, Mishu is completely dumbfounded that any school would reject someone so ridiculously strong. Yalin simply shrugs, saying fate dealt him this hand. Shaking off the heavy mood, Mishu points to a fancy building nearby to cheer him up, offering to treat him to an amazing meal. Yalin agrees, and they head inside a luxury restaurant she calls the absolute best spot in town. Suddenly, a tall girl named Yining approaches them with her boyfriend. She immediately mocks Mishu for actually finding a guy to eat with, driving the angry berserker absolutely wild. Ignoring the fuming girl, Yining leans dangerously close to Yalin. Staring into his eyes, she slyly offers to introduce him to some of her actually attractive friends. Talk about a brutal reality check. Yalin gives her a deadpan look and bluntly tells her to back off because of her terrible breath, leaving the spoiled girl completely humiliated while Mishu happily laughs in the background. Wanting to avoid a scene, Yalin suggests they find another place, complaining that the restaurant suddenly reeks. This sharp insult instantly triggers Wu Xiaowei, the elite paladin standing next to Yining. Stepping forward, the level 22 warrior aggressively demands an apology, venting his pure hatred for poor losers hailing from backwater country towns. Yining eagerly eggs him on, begging him to teach these peasants a lesson. The intense flex of power worries Mishu, who tightly grabs Yalin's arm, doubting they can beat a high-level paladin. Totally unfazed, Yalin looks back and retorts that he absolutely despises arrogant rich snobs who reek even worse. Infuriated, Wu Xiaowei summons a towering, multi-winged angelic figure behind him, demanding to know what he just said. In response, Yalin channels glowing blue energy around his frame and steps forward, more than ready to trash this paladin. The massive aura of a triple S-class warrior draws a crowd of students, all whispering in excitement. But right before the fists fly, a city investigator steps between them to shut it down. The official sternly warns them that brawling carries a heavy $30,000 fine and 30 days in jail. Hearing this, Mishu begs Yalin to back off, pointing out the special realm opens soon and it is not worth the penalty. Yalin agrees, letting the angry couple walk away. Before vanishing, Wu Xiaowei casts one final, hateful glare at our hero, warning him to watch his back once they get inside the dungeon. Feeling guilty, Mishu looks down and apologizes for dragging him into her drama. Yalin just asks why that toxic girl is so incredibly hostile toward her. Mishu explains they are actually half-sisters, and Yining is terrified she might steal her spotlight as top scorer, which is why she fled to a smaller town to take her exam. Even when Mishu suggests another spot, Yalin insists on staying at this luxury joint, claiming his appetite is still great. 3 days later, a massive crowd gathers in front of a giant bridge housing a glowing red portal. A white-haired examiner named Zheng Chani steps onto the stage. He introduces himself as the supervisor for this round, proudly announcing the official opening of the elite secret training realm. Standing in the crowd clutching a heavy sack of groceries, Yalin asks Mishu why on earth she packed so many supplies. Mishu explains she made all this food so Yalin won't starve inside the secret realm. He nods along, quite impressed by her logic. Right after, Zenkeni continues his big announcement by explaining the rules. He warns the students that damage immunity only works inside the secret realm, so they absolutely shouldn't leave if they take fatal damage. The supervisor notes that priests above level 50 are waiting at the entrance to heal them. Leaving without getting patched up leads to severe consequences. Then, he explains the protocol for injuries. Lose a limb? You better carry it to the entrance yourself because regrowing parts is a nightmare. Finally, Zenkeni warns them not to get eaten by the demonic monsters crawling around. He jokes about how awful it feels to have your torso digested. This warning makes Yalin realize their bodies are only immune to damage, not safe from being eaten alive. Mishu shivers at the creepy thought. With the details sorted, Zenkeni opens the portal, giving candidates 10 minutes to team up or go in solo if they feel brave. Suggesting a team-up, Mishu looks at him. Yalin agrees on the condition that she carries his heavy bags. Since her berserker class gives her monstrous strength, she accepts without a second thought. Some blue-haired guy steps forward to criticize them, calling Yalin ungentlemanly and offering to take her on his team instead. This completely annoys Mishu. Her arm swells into a giant, aura-covered muscle limb as she threatens to punch him to a pulp, sending him scrambling back. Meanwhile, Wu Xiaoqi and Yining start recruiting high-level members. Yalin admits the paladin is pretty strong, but Wu Xiaoqi spots our young mage and struts over to mock his small-town background, demanding he kowtow 3 times to beg for mercy. Our hero just laughs in his face, calling him an idiot. Furious, Wu Xiaoqi lunges forward to throw a punch. However, Zenkeni steps in, blocking the blow easily and sending the paladin stumbling back. The supervisor warns him to behave, threatening to disqualify him on the spot if he steps out of line. Zenkeni officially announces the opening of the secret realm to the gathered crowd, while another official warns that breaking any rule means instant disqualification. Nearby, Wu Xiaoqi shoots a venomous glare at Yalin, muttering that they will settle this later. Soon, our hero stands before the massive portal alongside Mishu. Feeling the danger ahead, Mishu urges him to be careful, but Yalin just smiles. He knows exactly what he is doing. They step through the gate, arriving in a lush green forest. As they walk down the path, Mishu lugs her giant backpack and remarks on how surprisingly quiet it is. But Yalin warns her that danger is always lurking. Right on cue, a level 20 gargoyle bursts out from the rock face, towering over them. Mishu sprints ahead, kicking up dust, and tells Yalin to save his energy. She punches the monster so hard its stone face shatters, completely exploding the gargoyle to dust. Watching from behind, Yalin thinks about how this cute girl fights like an absolute monster. But get this, physical brawling is way too slow for his liking. With the clock ticking, he takes matters into his own hands. He raises his hand, shooting a massive bolt of blue lightning that instantly vaporizes the beast. Mishu freezes in shock as they get 70 experience points for defeating a level 20 monster. She gasps, wondering how he did that. Yalin calmly explains his power comes from being a forbidden spellcaster. Touching his side, he notes that the secret realm's damage immunity is the only thing keeping him from dying from the sacrifice. Understanding the brutal cost of his spells, Mishu listens closely as Yalin urges her to move deeper in. The beast will only get stronger, so they must stay sharp. Walking through the woods, Mishu brings up how the Supreme Academy rejected him because of his class. Yalin is totally fine with his short lifespan though, content to achieve his goals before his time runs out. Their chat gets cut short as a level 25 giant poison centipede, a horrifying red insect with endless legs, towers over them. The beast roars, slamming its massive legs down in an explosion of flying rock and dirt. Yalin and Mishu leap back, narrowly dodging the flying debris. Landing hard, Mishu coughs, visibly hurt. Yalin steps in front of her, telling her to leave this pest to him as he prepares his magic. His flesh fades away, exposing glowing ribs inside a red sacrifice seal. From the sacrifice, a colossal blue lightning dragon roars toward the monster, a spell known as world-destroying thunder. The blast also vaporizes a level 22 scorpion nearby. Suddenly, a level 25 skeleton warrior lunges from the bushes. Mishu yells a warning, but Yalin fires an energy blast that vaporizes the skeleton instantly. Trembling, she points out how terrifying it is to watch him delete monsters like it is nothing. Before they can catch their breath, an abyss ratman bursts from the ground, grabbing Yalin by the ankle. Annoyed by the ambush, he floats up, summoning a chaotic storm of lightning. Casting eternal thunder, he disintegrates the rat on contact. Landing safely, the system alerts him that he is now level 20. Suddenly, it clicks for Mishu. Since damage immunity is active inside the secret realm, he can use these self-harming spells at full power without actually dying. Yalin jokingly asks if it took her that long to figure it out, and she laughs. He opens his digital status window to check his stats, excited because reaching level 20 unlocks his second talent. Eager to test his new ability, he asks Mishu for the fireball scroll she found. She hands it over, pretty worried since it is just a basic, low-level skill. As Yalin holds the scroll, fire flares up. His ultimate sublimation talent activates, instantly upgrading the basic spell into the forbidden spell, Flame God's Breath. The system screen explains that this newly generated skill requires the caster to burn their own life force to summon divine flames, incinerating everything in their path. Thrilled with the upgrade, Yalin shows Mishu the crackling orb of fire. Honestly, she looks completely lost. Who wouldn't be seeing a basic spell turn into a god-tier weapon? Testing his new power, Yalin hurls the massive fireball across the field, setting off a star-like explosion that towers over the entire forest horizon. The explosive light reflects off them, leaving Mishu in absolute awe while Yalin smiles confidently at the destruction. Since time is short, they quickly move ahead to keep grinding levels. Meanwhile, Yining and Wu Shaoqi spot the massive mushroom cloud from afar, wondering if an examiner stepped in to cause such a massive disturbance. Outside, Zenkeni watches his monitors, equally baffled. Unaware of the chaos they caused, Yalin and Mishu head back to a quiet clearing to grab a quick bite to eat. During the break, Mishu marvels at their insane progression, noting how fast they are leveling up. Looking around, Yalin spots a sleeping treasure toad near the waterfall. Realizing this level 26 treasure toad holds some seriously massive rewards, Yalin tells Mishu to keep quiet. He whispers his plan: he will crowd control the beast while she moves in to grab it. Unfortunately, their plan is ruined when Wu Shaoqi and his loud crew suddenly burst in shouting, waking the toad up and sending it hopping away. Yalin tries to lock down the beast using dark energy chains, but it breaks free anyway. This total failure seriously annoys him, and Mishua is absolutely furious at the intruders for ruining their hunt. Wu Shaoqi struts over and threatens to make our young mage suffer a fate way worse than death. Nearby onlookers immediately start gossiping about Yalin's terrible luck for running into this toxic group. Totally unfazed, Yalin conjures a tiny dark fireball in his palm, calmly warning the annoying bullies they will all pay dearly in pain for messing with his plans. Some teal-haired side character mocks the tiny spark, but it suddenly expands into a massive black vortex. As they stand dazed, Yalin unleashes the flame god's breath, sending Wu Shaoqi and Yinning into a total panic from the blistering heat. Right after the fire blast, Yalin charges up a massive ice vortex to teach them a real lesson. Swirling blue energy erupts everywhere, leaving Yinning trembling in absolute terror at his dual mastery of fire and ice. Sharp ice shards rain down like deadly missiles, forcing Wu Shaoqi to cast a holy shield. Desperate to fight back, he draws his golden 10-fist sword and charges forward with his squad. Believing their sheer numbers will guarantee an easy victory, Wu Shaoqi orders a full assault on Yalin. Meanwhile, onlookers watching from a distant cliff can only stare at the unfolding madness. They wonder if he is a regular elementalist or some forbidden spellcaster with all these wild skills. To turn up the heat, Yalin pulls out a small gray orb and casually casts Falling Rock. Except this is no minor rock, it is a gigantic, flaming meteor blotting out the sky. Pure despair washes over the attackers as they realize they just picked a fight with a real forbidden mage. The forbidden starfall spell hits the ground with a monstrous impact. A deafening explosion of dust and debris sends both Yinning and Wu Shaoqi flying helplessly through the air. Wu Shaoqi tumbles backward, coughing up blood and staring in utter disbelief. He wheezes out a desperate question: does Yalin really think he can survive fighting the mighty Wu family? Yalin just stares down at the beaten students with a wagging finger. He mockingly promises they will not die because the spell is only meant to be painful, adding that he is sure the Wu family will not mind. But wait, another massive boulder descends from the heavens, casting a dark shadow. Seeing this fresh nightmare, the shark-hooded student and his group completely lose it. Yinning and Wu Shaoqi scream in terror, pleading that they are elite students from the Supreme Academy and begging for mercy. Hearing their desperate cries, Yalin's eyes narrow with a freezing cold glare. He coldly points out that since the Supreme Academy rejected him, they are definitely not schoolmates, so they should just enjoy the impact. The giant rock slams down, leaving a massive crater. Watching safely from the sidelines, the onlookers and the shark-hooded student shiver, calling this forbidden mage a literal monster. They can only pity the absolutely pathetic state of his victims. Yalin tells the nearby crowd to haul the broken students to the medical tent, which they quickly agree to do. Once they leave, he lets out a deep sigh of relief. The world is finally quiet, so he tells Mishua it is time to resume hunting the treasure toad. Mishua happily agrees, hauling her massive backpack behind him. Meanwhile, over at the main camp near the medical area, Supervisor Zhongchani leans on his staff, noting that not a single top-ranking candidate has arrived yet. His assistant nods in agreement, pointing out that this year's crop of applicants seems way tougher than usual. Just then, another staff member rushes over to report an emergency, forcing the supervisor to look at the incoming wave of battered applicants. Shocked by their state, Zhongchani orders the healers to save them immediately. When asked what happened, a bleeding student whimpers that they fought a forbidden spellcaster, completely stunning the supervisor. Later that night, under a beautiful full moon, Yalin and Mishua relax around a cozy campfire. As she happily munches on some skewered meat, she asks if he wants some more. He politely declines, saying he is stuffed and needs plenty of rest to prepare for tomorrow's leveling grind. Mishua watches him rest, marveling at how insanely fast he grows compared to normal people, and vows to work even harder. Suddenly, a rustling sound breaks the silence. A massive, level 36 Cerberus towers over the trees. Mishua screams in absolute shock as it spews purple fire right at them. Fortunately, she grabs Yalin and lunges out of the way just in time. Instantly recognizing the high-grade beast, Yalin tells Mishua to stand back while he handles this puppy himself. He summons a brilliant orb of blazing orange fire from his scroll and launches it at the beast. The fireball grows massive mid-air, but Cerberus simply leaps forward and chomps down on it, leaving them both stunned. The beast roars, spitting a stream of highly acidic green slime around Yalin's boots. Finding himself half stuck in the sludge, he yells a warning to Mishua to stay far away from the toxic fluid. Giant fangs loom. Realizing these high-level monsters are definitely no joke, Yalin decides to release his real power. Intense karma flames instantly wrap around his body, granting him a massive boost in speed. With a fierce grin, the young mage tells the beast that since it loves eating so much, he is going to feed it until it chokes. Floating high up in the dark night sky, Yalin levitates inside a glowing golden field of pure energy. From high above, he fires a massive bolt of lightning straight down, blasting Cerberus and completely disintegrating one of its heads in a splash of black blood. Furious, the beast tries to corner them again by spewing more toxic green slime. Fortunately, Yalin summons a forbidden wailing wall spell to absorb the acid. Instantly following up his defense, the young mage rockets through the air, leaving a brilliant blue trail as he delivers a brutal, sweeping slash. Even though the creature withstands the blow, Yalin simply points a finger. summoning a massive, ghostly blue beast head that fires another devastating electrical blast. The stubborn Cerberus barely hangs on, but its body suddenly begins to swell with unstable dark energy. Realizing the beast is about to self-destruct, Yalin grabs Mishua's arm. Moving like lightning, the two leap through the dense forest canopy, barely escaping as a colossal, fiery explosion lights up the night sky right behind them. Catching their breath in a safe clearing, they sigh in relief at their narrow escape. As a sweet reward for slaying the high-grade beast, the system awards them 720 experience points. No peace. A loud croaking sound suddenly echoes nearby, and the golden treasure toad emerges from the trees carrying rare gold ore. This ore is an incredibly rare material that master blacksmiths use to craft epic-grade gear, making Mishua's eyes light up with pure, greedy excitement. Yalin happily checks the ore, but greedily demands the toad cough up even more loot. Instead, the lazy frog spits out a plain old rock, leaving our hero severely annoyed. Meanwhile, back at the main medical camp, Zhongchani consults with two doctors who confirm that Wu Xiaoqi and the others survived surgery. Bandaged up and leaning heavily on a crutch, Wu Xiaoqi hobbles out of his tent, still in terrible shape. Consumed by pure rage, the injured student yells and vows to get brutal revenge on Yalin, ignoring his supervisor's orders to rest. Back in the woods, Yalin ties the stubborn toad to a tree by the fire. Since the little thief refuses to cooperate, Yalin playfully threatens to make it into frog legs. He pries its mouth open, forcing it to regurgitate a beautiful magic staff wrapped in a black ribbon. They are both absolutely stunned to find an epic-grade item that boosts psychic strength by 50%, while lowering costs and amplifying the raw damage of all fire-type spells. Eager to test drive his shiny new weapon, Yalin points the staff to fire a simple energy slash. Thanks to his broken sublimation talent, the basic spell instantly transforms into a devastating Flame God Fury slash. The terrifying energy wave blasts across the horizon, slicing the peak clean off a distant mountain and setting it ablaze. Grinning at the sheer destruction, Yalin decides to set the toad free since it looks so innocent. The monster quickly bolts. Still, the exam must go on, so Yalin and Misha head right back into the dark woods to hunt. Sitting high on a branch, Yalin scans the quiet forest. No monsters? Weird. Misha sighs beside him, dryly reminding our boy that he basically wiped out every single beast in the zone over the last few days. With nothing left to kill, staying here is just a waste of time. He leaps, straight off a cliff. A terrified Misha jumps right after him, yelling that the exam is not even over yet. Cut to the exit portal. Groups of students are completely baffled. Why are there 0 monsters? 2 whole days are still left on the clock. A bald student explains the mystery. They reached the inner zone, but found nothing but massive scorch marks. Total devastation. Now, they are just waiting for Wu Xiaoqi's group to return, hoping they know what happened. Suddenly, Yalin and Misha step out. Cue the panic. Wu Xiaoqi's cronies instantly scramble backward in sheer terror, keeping their distance. Our boy strolls up to Teacher Zheng and an official. He wants out. The teacher is totally shocked, asking if he is really leaving 48 hours early. Yalin just nods. But the moment his card gets scanned, total system meltdown. He is officially a level 25 forbidden spellcaster. He just flashes a smug peace sign, and honestly, you have to love the sheer disrespect. The crowd goes wild, while Teacher Zheng sweats over his 7 sudden level-ups. Unbelievable. Some kid literally thinks his ears are broken, while others remember Yalin entered this place at level 18. A total monster. He must have cleared the entire inner zone alone. Completely ignoring their horror, our hero casually asks if he can leave. No such luck. The teacher explains he has to stay to collect his top scorer reward. Right then, a completely broken and frantic Wu Xiaoqi stumbles from the crowd. A dreadlocked student reports back that the young mage completely wiped out every single monster and hit level 25. Hearing this, Wu Xiaoqi flies into a total rage over his wasted efforts, especially since his golden treasure toad has absolutely nothing inside. Mishu immediately mocks the group, pointing out they walked in at level 22 and are leaving at the exact same level. Fuming with pure jealousy, Wu Xiaoqi insults Yalin as a short-lived forbidden spellcaster who just stole all their monsters. Yining chimes in, claiming this class always dies before reaching age 25, questioning why the academy even trains them when they only ruin the future of Daxia. Furious at their pathetic attitude, Mishu snaps back, telling them that their failure to defeat any monsters is honestly just a skill issue. The argument is cut short. The ground violently shakes. Yalin looks up, wondering what is happening. As the rumbling intensifies, students across the camp collapse in agony, clutching their heads while the sky turns blood red. Panic spreads as they realize the exit portal is literally fading away, trapping them inside. A massive pillar of red light shoots from the ground into a dark vortex, while a deep voice echoes a terrifying threat to humanity. Suddenly, countless winged demons swarm out of the sky. Staring at this nightmare, Yalin wonders what is happening. Teacher Zeng is totally horrified, recognizing them as actual demons, and realizing a demon invasion inside this top scorer zone is an absolute disaster. He leaps into the air with his trident, commanding the demons to stop. But a dark portal rips open, and a purple-haired demon commander steps out in dark armor. The commander scoffs at the humans, treating them like mere food for keeping his kind as slaves, warning everyone that they are practically begging for death. Teacher Zeng steps in front of the terrified students, telling them to stay calm while hoping the city of Sheng has noticed this mess and sent backup. Suddenly, a massive rock demon lunges, but Zeng deflects the heavy blow. The commander orders his subordinate Luda to deal with the teacher, so Luda lunges toward the students. Teacher Zeng tries to block him, but the commander says he is just playing with them. This demon commander addresses the crowd, pointing out that he is only level 20 by human standards. He offers them a deal, fight him, and if they win, he will let them walk. Hearing his low level, Wu Shaoqi and the others regain their courage. They draw their weapons, ready to fight to the absolute end. Stepping up is the top scorer from Kao City, a level 21 god knight named Lin Xian. He accepts. Confident, a level 21 fighter easily beats a level 20 demon. Everyone cheers him on, but get ready, because this is over in a split second. With just a flick of his clawed finger, the commander unleashes a red slash right across Lin Xian's neck, sending him flying back as blood sprays everywhere. Rushing forward, Yalin catches the falling knight midair and gently lays him down. Unbothered, the demon commander mocks the kid's weakness before looking at the trembling crowd, calling all of humanity a bunch of cowards. The students crack under pressure, turning their anger directly toward Yalin. They demand he step up, arguing that since he is the strongest and stole all the monsters, it is his job to save them. Mishu angrily calls out their disgusting hypocrisy, reminding them they were just mocking him seconds ago. Meanwhile, Wu Shaoqi actually blames Yalin for keeping them from leveling up and even causing the demon invasion. In response, Yalin says he is down to fight, but only if they pay him with high-grade gear. Wu Shaoqi immediately whines about the ridiculous price, but Yalin points his sword, forcing the group to cough up a pile of top-tier weapons for Mishu to hold. Amused by the petty drama, the demon commander just watches them trade. Yalin simply remarks there is always a rotten apple ruining his peace. He steps forward. Facing his opponent, he charges a basic, glowing orange fireball. The students watch in complete confusion, wondering why on earth he is using a low-level spell against a monster. But right after the blast, Yalin leaps high into the air, drawing his sword. Our purple-haired commander laughs, catching the blade with his bare hand and calling the attack pathetic. But smirking behind his glasses, Yalin triggers a massive explosion that towers over the entire clearing. Caught completely off guard, the demon commander is instantly engulfed in a swirling vortex of fire. Seeing this, the students cheer, thinking it is over, but Yalin keeps a dead serious face. But the flames suddenly shrink, getting absorbed directly into the demon's palm. The commander steps out without a single scratch, glowing as his health rapidly regenerates. Impressed by the show, the demon offers to let him become his loyal dog for eternal glory. Completely unfazed, Yalin offers to make the demon his son instead. Quickly casting an illumination spell, the commander lunges with a dark shadow trailing behind him, pushing Yalin back and interrupting his cast. Relying on sheer agility, the young mage activates his sudden dance technique to slip away. Sharp ice shards erupt from the ground behind him, but the exchange quickly turns into high-speed clashes, where the heavy punches of the enemy force Yalin to defend. Retreating across the field, the swordmaster leaves a jagged trail of ice spikes. Watching this, the students despair, wondering why the forbidden spellcaster is only running while the freezing air cracks their lips and fingers. The demon commander laughs, mocking his weak defense, but Yalin reveals multiple glowing golden rings forming in the air. Explaining it is still just an ordinary illumination spell, he yells the command to explode, unleashing a massive vortex that engulfs the entire area. The demon commander manages to shield himself inside a dark energy orb, walking out completely untouched and laughing that the blast cannot hurt him. Too bad for him. Yalin is already waiting on a high stone platform. He summons a forbidden spell, Eternal Thunder, which manifests as a massive, burning flame spear. He points his hand down, commanding the spear to impale his target. The weapon strikes the demon commander right in the chest, drawing blood as the beast gasps in sheer agony. Even with a spear through his chest, the commander grips the shaft with his claws, his face twisting in pure rage. Vowing to slaughter Yalin, he lunges across the rocky terrain like a lightning bolt. Instantly, the commander appears right above Yalin, casting a dark shadow while threatening to tear his head off. Crouching in the smoke, our young mage calmly readies a counterattack. he grips his blazing staff. Time for a forbidden spell, Burning Karma. With his staff offering a 50% fire boost and the spell boosting his stats, Yalin wonders if the demon can survive before releasing his full power. A colossal pillar of fire erupts, swallowing everything. The intense heat kicks up a massive fire tornado, completely incinerating everything nearby. The watching students stare in absolute awe and begin to celebrate, assuming the fight is finally over. As the heavy smoke clears, the demon commander lies defeated inside a smoldering crater, unable to believe a mere human could possess such terrifying power. Seeing his leader down, the demon Luda glares at Yalin, swearing to tear him to shreds for hurting his master. Luda charges forward with pure murderous intent. Sensing the enemy's terrifying power, which is well over level 100, Yalin knows he cannot win this match. But luckily, a massive red blade slams down right in front of Luda, stopping him cold. A rift in the air tears open and a man with long silver hair steps through. Teacher Zeng immediately recognizes him as Yunfang, the powerful city lord of Sheng, who greets them with high spirits. Since this demon actually dared to sneak into human territory, the city lord decides he is definitely not leaving. Yunfang waves his hand, summoning a massive golden star sigil that rains down absolute lasers, pinning every last minor demon to the dirt. Watching the city lord flex his godlike strength, Luda decides it is time to bounce, grabbing the injured Gallagher to run. Before vanishing into a red portal, the demon commander glares at Yalin, vowing to come back for his head later. Meanwhile, Yunfang just watches the rift snap shut while casually taking a puff of his cigarette. Determined not to let them get away, the city lord fires a massive arrow straight into the closing rift, leaving Luda looking back in absolute panic. But a massive demonic hand reaches out from the void, catching the shot and sending a wild shockwave across the battlefield. Gallagher tells the humans to stop being so cocky, while the poor students struggle under the massive pressure of the clash. Yunfang just laughs, teasing that demons are only actually good at running away. The demon yells back from safety, challenging them to try coming to his realm instead. Right before his portal completely disappears, the coast clear, the city lord addresses the survivors, promising that one day the warriors of Daxia will march right into the demon realm and wipe them off the map. Landing back on the ground, he takes absolute responsibility for the security slip-up that let demons slip in. He even gives a formal apology to all the high scorers for the near-death experience. Seeing how humble he is, the students tell him not to feel bad, turning all their rage toward those dirty, sneaky demons instead. With the portal working again, Yunfang tells the exhausted students to go crash at their hotels. While they work out the official scores, staff start counting the kids coming out in an orderly line. Plenty of young mages are totally traumatized, calling their moms after nearly dying today. Misha walks beside Yalin, sighing that their crazy ordeal is finally behind them. Later that night, our guy is just lying on his bed, thinking about how that training run turned into a literal survival movie. A knock on the door interrupts his chill time, and he figures it is just Misha getting lost again. But when he swings the door open, he finds the city lord, Yunfang, standing right there. The big boss explains he wanted to personally check up on the young mage. Yalin tries to stay humble, claiming his battle injuries are already basically gone. Yunfang is super impressed. The kid walked away from a royal demon. Seeing his massive potential and humble vibe, the Lord offers him a sweet job serving the city of Shancheng. He says that while funding a forbidden spellcaster is usually seen as a money pit, Shancheng needs a major trump card to keep the demons at bay. Yalin knows this is an amazing chance to level up, but explains he needs to clear it with his master, Jug Chening, first. Yunfang chuckles at the name of the famous astrologer, promising to visit Qingchang and sort it out himself. Just then, another knock comes, and a cute cat-eared maid walks in with a fruit platter. As she sets the food down, Yalin smells something off and gets suspicious. Thanks to his fast reflexes, the city lord spots the trap, yelling a warning as she lunges at Yalin with a dagger. Yunfang moves like lightning, catching her wrist and pinning her down securely. He is completely stunned to discover she is actually a level 50 elite assassin, demanding to know who hired her. He kicks her to the floor to force a confession, but realizing she is cornered, the assassin decides to plunge her own blade right into her chest. Since the poison ends her instantly, the Lord knows the masterminds behind this must be incredibly powerful to make a level 50 killer commit suicide. Staring at the corpse, Yalin wonders if the Wu family sent this hit. Yunfang promises to dig deep into this, vowing to make Wu Shaoqi apologize for crossing the line. Fearing for his life, Yalin jokes that he might not survive a month in this city, turning down the offer for now. The city lord heads out to investigate, but immediately, there is another knock. Nisha bursts in waving her phone, hyping him up because Yalin is officially the #1 scorer in the entire nation. She screams that he brought honor to his family, though he quietly points out he is an orphan. To celebrate, she insists on taking a quick selfie, but when she looks at the photo, she is horrified to spot a dead assassin chilling in the background. Yalin stays totally calm, asking her to call room service for a cleanup. While she panics, he explains the girl was just a hitwoman sent by Wu Xiaoqi. This sets Misha off into an absolute protective rage, and she tries to drag him out to beat up the bully right now. Meanwhile, inside his luxury penthouse, Wu Xiaoqi screams at his minion for hiring such a terrible assassin. His temper tantrum is cut short when his wealthy father walks in, lecturing him for using such sloppy, amateur methods instead of a clean hit. The patriarch orders Wu Xiaoqi to pack his bags and apologize to protect their family standing. Meanwhile, in the main office, Ha Yunfeng congratulates Yalin for taking the top spot and prepares to hand over his prizes. Our boy stares at his rewards, noticing a legendary skill scroll alongside a sleek, mysterious black case. He was secretly hoping for cold cash, but knows these items are incredible since only God-grade gear tops this. He thanks the Lord and pops open the case to find a ring. The system reveals it is the legendary Great Sumameru ring, offering a massive 100% boost to psychic stats. As Yalin slips it on, Ha Yunfeng explains it doubles his brain power and has built-in storage. Yalin quickly realizes the ring can actually absorb and convert elemental energy attacks. This means if he ever gets mobbed by enemy mages, he can just absorb their spells and fire back with forbidden magic. With his undying body, the more he gets hit, the stronger he becomes. He thanks the boss again and promises to keep leveling up. Hai Yunfeng nods, saying they can discuss his job in Shancheng with his master later. To wrap things up, the city lord sends him home through a portal. Over at the Qingchang teleportation square, a massive stone archway stands ready in the city center. The gate opens and our tired mage leaps out. The waiting crowd absolutely erupts in cheers. As he slides to a stop, Principal Gao and City Lord Hu Wang rush over with giant grins. The principal proudly hypes up the country's top scorer, while Hu Wang tries to rub Yalin's arm to catch some of his luck. All this touching makes our guy super uncomfortable, so he holds up a hand to get some space. Unfortunately, a massive wave of fans surges toward the platform. Principal Gao tries to hold the line, but wild fans and students push forward with phones, begging for selfies. Yalin starts sweating bullets under the sheer pressure of their hype. To rescue him, Principal Gao grabs Yalin's wrist and starts sprinting, dragging him straight through the plaza. The boy just wants to go sleep, but the principal yells that they have to meet with Jug Chenning first. In a quiet garden, Jug Chenning chuckles that fame is a heavy burden, noting that being the nation's top scorer is definitely a tough job. Sitting by a quiet lily pond, Yalin admits the trials were brutal, but completely worth the payoff. His master tells him to get some rest because something much bigger is coming. This immediately grabs the young mage's attention, and he demands to know more. His master's face turns deadly serious as he delivers the grim news the Gate of Apocalypse has opened. Yalin is stunned, knowing that is where the 7 ancient origin artifacts first appeared. But when he asks if he is being sent in alone, his master clarifies that they are going together. Yalin agrees, but says he has to stop by the Job Changer Guild first to deal with some gear. But the moment he leaves, his master doubles over, coughing violently. Looking down at the fresh blood on the cold stone, the master sighs. He knows Yalin still does not fully trust him, but with his own time rapidly running out, he has to try anyway. Later, Yalin steps into the busy Job Changer Guild. Since he is way too famous now, he decides to play it safe and equips his illusion mask, instantly transforming into a purple-haired stranger. The receptionist leads our disguised hero down a quiet hallway. Suddenly, a familiar woman with fiery red hair and a high-collared dress catches his eye. Yep, it is Jugani. When his mask holds up, Yalin quietly brushes past her, but Jugani stops in her tracks, staring at his back with deep suspicion. Something about him feels way too familiar to ignore. The sudden realization hits her like a truck, and she immediately starts chasing him down. In her mind, she can only see the legendary masked hero, Ling Ya. She is absolutely certain this purple-haired guy is her mysterious savior. Lunging forward, she grabs his arm and halts him. Yalin turns around in complete shock, wondering how she managed to see right through his disguise. Jugani looks into his eyes, her face filled with hope. She tells him he looks exactly like the brave hero who saved her life, begging him to tell her his name. Yalin insists she has got the wrong guy, but she is not buying it. She vividly remembers that incredibly cold, intense look he gave her back when he rescued her. Desperate for answers, she holds onto his arm and demands he confess his true identity. This loud confrontation draws a crowd, leaving Yalin desperately looking at the receptionist for backup. Seeing the scene unfolding, the receptionist steps in, warning Jugani to stop making trouble in the trading hall, or she will be thrown out. Frustrated, she backs off, promising to behave. Watching all this drama unfold, a couple of bystanders start gossiping. One wonders how such an average-looking guy managed to capture the attention of a total goddess like her. His friend assumes the guy must be filthy rich. That would explain why he acts completely indifferent to her charms. Ignoring the whispers, Yalin walks up to the counter and tells the clerk he wants to liquidate some gear. Suddenly slam, a mountain of high-end weapons crashes onto the counter, making everyone gasp in disbelief. Jugani is left speechless by the massive pile of loot. Nearby onlookers whisper in awe, realizing this guy must have absolutely slaughtered an entire army of monsters to get this rich. The receptionist asks if he wants gold coins for his massive haul, but Yalin shakes his head. He wants to exchange it all for other high-tier gear. She brings up a tablet showcasing the rare Yawang necklace, and Yalin points to it instantly. Unfortunately, she tells him that this exchange will still cost an extra 3 million gold. To cover the fee, Yalin casually pulls out a rare dragon-scale gold ore. The moment that hit the table, the entire room completely lost their minds, and honestly, can you blame them? The crowd whispers that owning a treasure like that would set them up for life. As Jugani swoons, the noise brings out Chiang Kai, the powerful vice president, who quickly steps in to restore order. Recognized as an elite level 60 expert, Chiang Kai inspects the rare floating ore, asking Yalin what he wants in exchange. Yalin asks for a mountain of refining stones. It is a brilliant play, since these stones can upgrade basic rare gear to compete with epic-level equipment. Chiang Kai initially offers 800 pieces, but Yalin negotiates for a flat 1,000, promising to be a regular. Smiling at the bold move, the vice president agrees, sending his assistant to fetch them. With the first trade finalized, Yalin smiles and mentions he has one last item. He reaches into his coat and pulls out a golden scroll pulsing with insane energy. The crowd gasps as they realize it is a legendary skill scroll, a treasure basically impossible to find in Qingcheng. Chiang Kai loses his cool completely, screaming for the guild president to get down here right now. The elderly president Wang Luan arrives, telling his vice president to calm down. After verifying the legendary scroll is real, he turns to Yalin, asking what he wants for it. Yalin calmly states his terms. He wants to trade this legendary scroll for every single ordinary skill scroll in the guild. It sounds crazy, but with his ultimate sublimation talent, he can easily upgrade cheap ordinary scrolls into forbidden spells. Still, this bizarre trade leaves Chiang Kai and the entire staff utterly speechless. Jugani rushes over and begs him to reconsider, explaining that legendary scrolls are priceless, while normal ones are basically dirt cheap. She even offers her own cash just to stop him from making a terrible mistake. Yalin gently rejects her offer and tells President Wang Luan he is absolutely certain. Thrilled with the insane bargain, the president orders Chiang Kai to empty the entire warehouse of every common scroll. To show his immense gratitude, President Wang Luan hands Yalin a shiny red VIP card, giving him elite status and massive discounts for all future shopping. The young mage offers his thanks and quietly makes his exit. Watching him leave, Chiang Kai asks if they should secretly protect him. The president shakes his head, noting that anyone carrying such treasures must be more than capable of defending themselves. As twilight falls, Yalin walks through the busy streets only to find Jugani blocking his path. She desperately begs him to come home with her, determined to prove he is the real hero and not that shameless Yalin. Keeping his cool, Yalin maintains he is absolutely not Lingya. But Jugani grabs his wrist, totally unconvinced because let's be real, his insane wealth is way beyond what lazy Yalin could ever have. She threatens to drag him straight to Investigator Huang. Knowing that getting the authorities involved would completely ruin his secret identity, Yalin finally sighs and agrees to go home with her. Under a shining full moon, Jugani brings the disguised Yalin back to her family estate to confront her father. Fully convinced that the heroic Lingya and the useless Yalin are two different people, she proudly introduces the purple-haired stranger as the dream disciple her father should actually train. Juga Chenqing stares at the disguised youth with a blank face, prompting his daughter to suggest kicking the useless Yalin out of the household for good. Realizing what is actually going on, the master asks his daughter for a moment alone with their guest. Jugani happily runs upstairs to change, eager to look beautiful for her mysterious savior. With the room finally clear, Yalin asks why his master does not just tell her the truth. As rain begins to heavy down outside, Juga Chongqing turns solemn, admitting that keeping this secret might actually work in their favor. The master reveals a new strategy. Yalin will enter the Gate of Apocalypse, but strictly using his Lingya persona. This genius strategy keeps Yalin's civilian identity totally clear of the danger, allowing him to unleash his full, game-breaking power without holding back. Sure, Yalin agrees to the deal, but he is not buying what this shady astrologer is selling. He resolves to keep a very close eye on his master. Zhu Chenqing wraps up the meeting, promising to handle Jugani's wild expectations before they leave in 2 days. Meanwhile, Yalin retreats to a dark room to upgrade his legendary gear for the dangers ahead. Knowing he cannot trust a soul, he dumps a massive pile of refining stones into the great Sumeo ring. The first upgrade is a success, instantly boosting his mental power by 20%. No luck. He immediately gets hit with 8 straight failures. Testing his luck, our desperate mage literally throws hundreds of stones into the air. After burning through nearly 1,000 of them, a massive burst of energy finally triggers a lucky 3-star upgrade. This shiny new ring now gives him a massive 160% mental boost. But as departure day arrives, Yalin runs into Jugani in the hallway while in his true form. Thinking she is finally dealing with the actual Yalin, she gets instantly annoyed and calls him a total scoundrel. She basically calls him a cheap knockoff and demands he pack up and leave. Yalin just shrugs off the attitude, calmly letting her know he is leaving anyway once his bags are packed. He casually strolls away while she continues screaming at his back. And honestly, you have to laugh at the tragic irony here. She has absolutely no clue this is the very guy she is currently obsessed with. Next, Yalin heads over to the Gi family villa to check on his loyal fanboy, Ling Yu. Thanks to the best healers in town, Ling Yu is fully recovered and welcomes his boss back with pure excitement. Yalin pulls his follower aside and whispers a wild scheme to completely trash his own reputation. He wants Ling Yu to spread rumors that the genius top scorer has abandoned his training for a life of pure luxury. Right on cue, fake news reports pop up showing Yalin partying at high-end clubs, making the entire public believe he has completely thrown his bright future away. Everyone starts gossiping that his short lifespan drove him into depression. Even Jugani looks at the reports with deep disappointment, thinking her crush has truly lost his mind. With the perfect cover story set up, a disguised Yalin gets ready to slip away with Zhu Chenqing. But as they pass through the living room, a very shy and blushing Jugani approaches the purple-haired youth. Too embarrassed to look at him, she nervously asks if he would go to a movie with her when he gets back. Our guy just plays it cool with a vague response, saying they can talk about it later. On the road, they drive deep into the silent, dense forest. Zhu Chenqing explains that they are skipping the regular teleporters because the Gate of Apocalypse is hidden right inside the Chongqing wilderness. He also warns the youth to call him Mr. Zhu from now on, ensuring nobody discovers their true relationship during this dangerous quest. A sleek black car pulls up near some desolate rock formations. Yalin steps out of the ride and immediately spots a massive rift of glowing blue energy pulsing between the massive stones. Staring at the legendary Gate of Apocalypse for the very first time, our boy is completely blown away by its scale. Zhu Chenqing nods in agreement before they are greeted by Director Tan from the Qingchong Investigation Bureau. The director has been pacing around anxiously, knowing they are working on a very tight schedule here. To get things started, the master hands a glowing golden key over to the director. But as they prepare to move forward, Yalin suddenly feels a strange, cold shiver running straight down his spine. Zhu Chenqing quietly whispers that he just handed over a fake key. If the director ever finds out about this bluff, he will absolutely end them both on the spot. Despite the massive risk, the master tells him to ignore the key and head straight for the barrier instead. As Yalin walks up to the energy field and raises his hand, the rift suddenly erupts with raw power. The rift expands into a wild, swirling vortex. The legendary gate is finally open. Director Tan is absolutely speechless to see the entrance to the place where those 7 ancient artifacts dropped. In all the excitement, the director demands the golden key back, and the master plays along to avoid suspicion. But things get complicated fast when a few uninvited guests step out from the shadows. It is the Job Change Guild, led by President Wang himself. Director Tan is pretty annoyed that this guy wants to stroll in and grab a slice of the loot without putting in any of the hard work. Since the Gate of Apocalypse is incredibly dangerous, the director decides to play dirty, letting the guild members head in first so they can absorb all the initial traps. President Wang happily agrees to lead the charge, taking his team straight into the portal. Yalin, still disguised as Ling, follows right behind with his master. They rush through a dark, hazy energy tunnel before spilling out into a bright, barren wasteland that looks like a destroyed version of Chongqing, a ghost town. The group stands on a cliff, staring down at the skeletal, ruined remains of a city they used to know. Everything is completely smashed and decaying, leaving them to wonder if this is just a cruel illusion or some dark, post-apocalyptic future. There's not a single living soul or creature in sight. As they look around, Zhu Chenqing kneels to check out a golden fragment on the street, explaining that while it is technically a divine artifact piece, it is totally worthless now. Nothing but ruins. With no signs of treasure or danger, the leaders quickly start losing their patience. They decide to split up to cover more ground. The master casually suggests that since it is so quiet, they can just yell for help if they run into trouble. Under his deep hood, Yalin flashes a sly smile. He knows the real game is finally starting and he cannot trust a single person here, especially his own teacher. Guided by the ancient key, he heads straight for the city slums. Needing to move fast and completely out of sight, he prepares to use a basic underground escape skill, but luck is on his side. His class talent triggers, instantly upgrading it into a forbidden spatial leap spell. Sacrificing his internal organs, our mage transforms into a swirling spiral of liquid gold energy. This crazy move lets him blink through space while ignoring most physical and energy attacks. He vanishes from the desolate streets and reappears inside a ruined room that looks exactly like his childhood home. As he turns around, massive tentacles suddenly burst out right behind him. A creepy guardian, basically a giant floating brain held up by green tentacles, calls him by his real name and reveals it has been waiting years for this moment. Now that Yalin is here, the entity explains that it is time to return a legendary artifact called the Eternal Scale back to its rightful owner. It is the true source of his infinite regeneration. But as a stunned Yalin holds the scale, a dark shadow creeps up behind him, and it is none other than Zhu Chenqing. Talk about a backstabber, the master smugly admits he knew Yalin would find this secret room, completely dropping the nice guy act. Desperate to steal the scale for himself, the old man charges a deadly orb of energy right on his fingertips. Yalin tries to jump back, but the master is way too fast. He blasts a spell point blank at his own student, demanding the item as he strikes Yalin in the ribs. The boy falls to the cold floor, clutching a bleeding wound, realizing he was just a stupid pawn this entire time. Fortunately, the tentacle guardian steps in to protect its true master, making Zhu Chenqing cough up blood as his own fragile life force starts to fade. The bizarre creature yells at Yalin to grab the scale and run, warning him about the terrifying rule of the artifact it runs entirely on equivalent exchange. Zhu Chenqing is dying. His brilliant master plan is to steal our boy's immortality using the scale. Yalin finally realizes his beloved teacher is just a parasite, but the master tells him he talks way too much. Suddenly, a massive beam of energy rips through the ruins, forcing our boy to run. Yalin wakes up in a pitch-black room. In the center stands Zhu Chenqing, covered in some seriously edgy blue flames. Realizing it is fight or die, Yalin chucks a massive fire spell. Too bad the master slaps it away with one hand. He mocks our level 25 hero, because immortality means nothing against absolute power. Not taking this lying down, Yalin whips up a massive tornado. The ground completely shatters as he tries to push back. The old man doesn't even blink in the wind. He triggers his celestial body incineration move, summoning a giant construct to snatch the scale right out of Yalin's hands. He mocks Yalin for throwing basic spells at a literal boss. As the kid gasps for air, the master finally explains why he has gone completely off the deep end. Turns out, telling the future too much got him cursed by the gods. He basically viewed Yalin as a walking medicine bottle to cure his own terminal illness. Pinned by an invisible force, Yalin can only watch as his double-crossing teacher starts the creepy ritual. Zhu Chenqing holds the scale, and pure energy begins ripping straight out of Yalin's forehead. Our hero screams in pure silence. His eyes roll back as his soul gets dragged out of his body. Wait, the old man starts sweating buckets. He notices something weird about the scale. Half of the artifact has been fused inside Yalin's body this whole time. The master realizes this artifact is the ultimate ancient cheat code, infinitely balancing out perfect immortality and total invincibility. Even better, it forces an equal trade between two people, no matter how weak you are, as long as both sides agree. The ritual goes completely wild, both of them screaming in agony, until Yalin suddenly snaps out of it, gasping. Checking his hands, Yalin realizes he didn't actually die. He looks up and sees Zhu Chenqing slumped against a rock, looking like he aged 80 years in 2 seconds. Despite literally trying to murder him, the master smiles weakly and says the plan succeeded. Yalin just stares in shock as weird red tattoos start glowing on his forehead. His cheat-level healing power kicks back in, stronger than ever. Now he is just highly confused why his teacher didn't actually steal his immortality. Demanding answers, he stands over the bleeding old man and asks why he spared him. Zhu Chenqing just coughs up blood, asking why Yalin still won't call him teacher after everything. Talk about an emotional guilt trip. Our boy softens up, realizing he never actually understood what was going on in the old guy's head. The dying master explains that yeah, he was plotting, but not out of greed. He was trying to save all of humanity. He reveals a grim vision where his daughter Zhuge Ni dies no matter what path she takes. Because of this absolute canon event, the master figured out that the entire human race is destined to get wiped out. But there is hope. Yalin is the only person whose future the stars can't read. He is the ultimate wild card, the only one who can rewrite this apocalyptic bad ending. To help him save the world, Zhu Chenqing hands over a small bag packed with cheat sheets about all the upcoming threats. He warns him that the entity they met wasn't a friendly guardian, it was a piece of the demon butterfly emperor searching for the scale. With his final breath, the master begs him to keep Zhuge Ni safe. Holding his master close, Yalin promises to do it, watching the old man finally pass away in peace. He feels terrible for ever doubting the old guy's motives. Our boy vows to give his teacher a proper send-off. But of course, the emotional moment is ruined when Director Tan and his goons arrive. Seeing the body, they immediately frame Yalin for murder. Director Tan displays his peak greed, ordering his men to loot the corpse. This sheer disrespect triggers absolute rage in our boy's eyes. A bald lackey leaps in to attack, but massive tree roots erupt from the ground, trapping him mid-air. Yalin is not about to play nice with people who ruin his master's peace. Wang Lichuan and the director watch in absolute horror as our boy literally starts sucking the life force right out of his victim. The game system pops up, announcing that the scale is repaired but now tilts toward the dark side. Forget equal trade, now our boy can just devour enemies to farm infinite lifespan for himself. He drains years of life and fat experience points from this level 42 job changer, leaving Director Tan sweating in absolute panic. Figuring out Yalin has an ancient artifact, the director sends his entire squad to execute him. Our hero just watches them approach, completely unbothered. As they charge, Yalin vanishes with speed that puts basic escape spells to shame. He bursts back up like a giant human drill, blasting them all away with a wild mix of wood, fire, and earth magic. While the guild president watches from the side, thanking his lucky stars he stayed out of it, Yalin teleports in to settle some old beef. He remembers all the torture he endured back at the bureau, and decides it is finally payback time for this crooked director. Yalin summons a massive water sphere and a glowing blue trident. By literally sacrificing both of his own kidneys because who needs organs, he casts a forbidden spell called Wrath of the Sea God, boosting his damage by 200%. This unleashes a devastating tsunami of energy that instantly vaporizes the director's right-hand man. This absolutely triggers Director Tan. He summons a glowing bow, revealing himself as a level 62 holy bow hunter. He yells at his useless crew and orders an all-out attack. On his command, a rain of glowing arrows targets our boy from every angle. Fortunately, Yalin pulls out his legendary Sumeo ring, activating its special ability to suck all that incoming damage into a vortex. This neat trick converts the enemy arrows into a massive psychic power-up. Realizing he has to go full villain mode here, our hero charges his glowing red eye and summons a colossal wall of fire. The forbidden spell world devouring heavenly fire explodes across the city skyline, turning his attackers into ash in a single second. Somehow, Director Tan survives the heat, left coughing in a smoking crater. Realizing he has to do things himself, he pulls back a massive arrow on his magic bow. He fires his ultimate move, the demon god's mother-son arrows, which zoom through the air at insane speed. The director laughs, bragging that this attack is completely impossible to dodge. Sure enough, the blue arrow hits Yalin dead on, triggering a massive, blinding explosion. Suddenly, black energy spikes burst from the ground, impaling our boy and making him scream in pure pain. Thinking he won, the director mocks him one last time before a final blast leaves nothing but a smoking crater. Confident that nobody can survive being blown to pieces, Director Tan stands over the wreckage, completely satisfied. But wait, because a terrifying regeneration process kicks off from a single severed arm in the rubble. Crimson energy and flesh swirl together, completely rebuilding Yalin's body. He materializes right behind Director Tan, who spins around in total shock. Before the high-ranking official can even blink, a massive energy bolt skewers his chest from behind. Our young mage stands over the defeated director, his shredded hoodie exposing raw bone and torn flesh that are already knitting back together. When Director Tan tries to throw his political weight around with desperate threats, Yalin just mocks him. The official lunges for one final, desperate strike, but our protagonist easily shuts him down with another spell. The system confirms that a level 62 job changer has been completely devoured. This gives Yalin some great nutrients and, more importantly, adds 2 years to his dwindling lifespan. Fueled by this huge wave of experience, he leaps from level 25 straight to 28, boosting his main stats. With the fight over, Yalin senses someone else nearby and demands they show themselves. President Wang Lichuan crawls out from the rubble, sweating buckets and begging for his life. To make sure he survives, the chairman bows low and pledges his entire guild to the young mage's absolute command. Our protagonist accepts the offer with a cold, knowing smirk, sealing a brand new alliance right in the middle of the wreckage. While Chairman Wang begs him to leave before more trouble shows up, Yalin insists on one last task. He conjures a massive blue ice coffin to safely preserve the body of Zhuge Qiangxing. Standing quietly by the frozen casket, he places a gentle hand on his master's shoulder. He softly promises to take his beloved teacher back home, then leads the way out of the destroyed facility. Deep within the terrifying gate of apocalypse, Wang Lichuan realizes his men are completely out of their depth. Since the raid is way too dangerous, Yalin suggests they fall back and return when they are stronger. They reach the glowing blue exit portal, but the moment they try to leave, the earth violently shakes, A giant red dragon bursts from the ground, opening its jaws to charge up a devastating blast. When the beast unleashes its high-speed beam, our boy counters with a massive wave of his own magic, triggering an epic explosion. He unleashes the Flame God's Sigh, a legendary forbidden spell so absurdly powerful that it leaves Chairman Wang shaking in pure terror. As the beast's charred remains lie still, the system alerts pop up. Since Yalin devoured a level 34 monster, he absorbs premium nutrients and a trace of a rare dragon bloodline. This epic kill extends his lifespan by over 400 years and boosts his stats. But just as he is admiring his new dragon power, jagged black cracks of energy begin warping the space around them. Seeing that their exit portal is on the verge of collapsing, both of them sprint for their lives. But a fierce gravitational pull drags everything back, knocking the golden key right out of our hero's grip. While Yalin gets pulled through the rift, the key slips back into the collapsing dimension. A second later, the portal implodes and blasts Yalin and Chairman Wang onto the rocky ground outside. With the gate and key both gone, there is no telling where or when they will reappear. Our boy prepares to head out, carrying the heavy, frozen casket of his mentor. He tells Chairman Wang that his priority is burying Zhuge Changxing, but promises to look him up if any trouble starts brewing. Soon, the young mage reaches the Zhuge mansion. The moment she spots the giant ice coffin, Zhuge Ni falls to her knees in complete disbelief and demands to know what happened. Disguised as the loyal follower, Yalin bows an apology, admitting he could not save the astrologer. He mentions his master's final wish was to lie beside her mother, but the truth is just too crushing. Zhuge Ni breaks down in agony, crying out for her father. When she asks how it happened, our hero makes up a lie, claiming the master faced heavenly punishment for predicting too many secrets to save humanity. This news triggers a wave of bitter anger, and the grieving girl screams at him to get out and never show his face again. Respecting her grief, our protagonist quietly slips away. Soon, news of the missing officials and the astrologer's death sweeps the city, and everyone starts gossiping about the mysterious carrier, Ling Ye, who brought the body back. The wild rumors quickly catch the attention of investigator Huang, who is absolutely convinced that Yalin and the mysterious Ling Ye are actually the same guy. With zero actual evidence to arrest a National Star student, he decides to corner the boy directly. The investigator tracks him down to a nightclub, where he finds Yalin lounging comfortably on a sofa, surrounded by beautiful girls. He plays it super casual, even offering to put the detective's drinks on his tab. When asked where he was last week, the young mage pretends he cannot recall his busy schedule. Annoyed, investigator Huang grabs his wrist, demanding to know if he disguised himself to follow the master out of the city. But our hero just smiles, calmly raising his phone to show he is recording everything to sue them for harassment. Luckily for him, the investigator's partner confirms his alibi, since Yalin was seen partying all over town that entire week. Huang is forced to let him go, gritting his teeth and swearing to find real proof later. Before they leave, the young mage offers a free tip, casually mentioning that he saw this mysterious Lingye get blown into tiny pieces with his own eyes. Talk about a brilliant loophole. Since he literally reformed from a severed limb, his lie technically counts as the absolute truth. This completely breaks the investigator's brain, making him doubt his own instincts. Yalin just walks away, inviting the confused cop for a drink sometime. Fast forward to the funeral, and heavy rain is pouring down on a mourning crowd gathered under black umbrellas outside the Grand Temple. Inside the hall, a portrait of Zhuge Qianxing sits framed by white flowers, looking over a room filled with tearful mourners. Zhuge Ni kneels by the casket in absolute despair, her red hair messy as her painful cries echo. Meanwhile, the guests start whispering, wondering why the master's prize disciple has not even shown up. Hearing about the master's death while the top scorer has been partying his head off, the crowd can barely contain their disgust at his complete lack of respect. Right on cue, Yalin appears at the entrance, totally soaked by the storm as he looks toward the altar. As he walks forward looking genuinely pained, the grieving crowd turns incredibly hostile. Zhuge Ni stands up immediately to confront him, absolutely refusing to let him be part of the service. She tells the young mage that he is not welcome and demands he leave right now. When he tries to explain that he just wants to bid his master farewell, her rage only boils over. He declares their master-disciple bond was severed long ago, calling him a fraud. Her harsh words send the crowd into a gossiping frenzy, assuming he did something truly unforgivable to get expelled by the great astrologer. But the drama is suddenly cut short as a group of masked men in black suits march right out of the pouring rain. Their leader, sporting a fedora and a charred mask, offers fake condolences before revealing his dark goal. He claims the master's death is highly suspicious, demanding they open up the casket for an inspection. Since opening the coffin is a massive insult to her late father, Zhuge Ni blocks their path, refusing to let them lay a single finger on him. The masked leader loses his patience and orders his men to take it by force. As they step up, the young woman erupts in raging scarlet flames, warning the intruders to back off. While the other guests scream in protest at this insane intrusion, the whole hall turns into a bloodbath. The masked goons draw their blades and start mercilessly cutting down bystanders. The sudden slaughter throws everyone into a massive panic, sending guests scrambling for the exits while shrieking for the cops. Livid over the senseless bloodshed, Nia fires a massive wave of flames directly at the masked boss. But the guy is totally unfazed, snuffs it out with a single hand. She begins to tremble, realizing she is staring down a level 50 powerhouse. Before she can even blink, the boss lunges forward, grabs her throat, and lifts her off the ground. He sneers at her status, demanding once more to open the coffin while his goons surround it. But Zane, who was just quietly chilling in the back, finally steps up and tells them to freeze. Before anyone can even process his voice, he moves like lightning. Zane delivers a punch so insanely powerful that it forces the boss to drop Nia and stumble back. Clutching his mangled, bleeding arm, the leader loses his absolute mind in rage. Standing protectively in front of Nia, Zane stares them down with fierce intensity, while the crippled boss screams that everyone in the room has to die. Determined to eliminate the threat, the boss orders his subordinate to trap Zane inside a barrier. Instantly, a massive dark rectangular wall of energy shoots up from the floor, locking him in with the killers. To wrap this up instantly, Zane decides to literally sacrifice his own liver for power. Talk about extreme grinding. He hovers in midair, crackling with intense electricity, before unleashing his forbidden spell, Eternal Thunder. A gargantuan bolt of lightning crashes down, obliterating the masked subordinates into smoking ash. The boss stands alone among his fried crew, cursing his luck. Still glowing with lethal power, Zane coldly warns that anyone who dares disrespect his master's soul is going to die right here. He raises his hand toward the remaining killers and unleashes a torrent of intense, fiery energy. The masked boss stands completely paralyzed as the flames consume his men, leaving only 2 alive. But casting such high-tier spells takes a heavy toll, and Zane is left panting heavily, drenched in sweat. The sheer cost of the magic forced him to sacrifice his entire left arm, leaving an empty sleeve. Nia watches from the side in complete shock, her heart breaking for him. Thinking the kid has lost his mind, the boss points and laughs at the exhausted hero. He tells his remaining men to stop shaking, since even a forbidden spellcaster has limits, and this brat is completely spent. Despite his sheer exhaustion, Zane glares at the remaining thugs with total resolve. He wonders if dealing with trash like them is worth the literal body parts he had to burn through. Still, Zane lunges forward to attack. Nia screams for him to watch out as the boss counters with a vicious strike. A blade pierces straight through Zane's neck, sending a massive spray of blood into the air. He collapses onto the cold floor, clutching his throat while coughing up blood. The 3 killers stand over his limp body with pure contempt, calling him a total dumbass and telling him to rot in hell. Nia falls to the floor in absolute shock, tears streaming down her face as a hollow emptiness washes over her. Completely ignoring her cries, the boss barks at his men to finally pry open that coffin. But suddenly, a goon freezes in pure terror as Zane's silhouette slowly stands back up. Wreathed in a rising dark aura, our guy whispers that they are the ones heading to hell today. Blazing flames and dark energy erupt as his passive forbidden spell, Undying, activates. Watching these killers stumble back in pure terror as they realize he cannot die is honestly so satisfying. Nia looks up with wide eyes, utterly stunned that Zane survived a literal neck puncture. Focusing his massive energy, he prepares his next spell, channeling all his power through his glowing red eye. He unleashes his spell, Eyes of Eternal Freeze, making the thugs desperately scramble for safety. But huge spikes of blue ice erupt from the ground, instantly trapping them in a frozen tomb. 2 bystanders watch the utter carnage from behind a wall, their faces pale with sheer dread, as they watch a forbidden spellcaster casually slaughter level 50 experts. Nia watches from her knees, as Zane calmly walks over to her father's coffin. He places a hand on the heavy wood, casually swinging the massive casket onto his back and heading for the exit. Finding his silhouette strangely familiar, Nia quickly asks where he is taking her father. Zane simply tells her that he is going to bury his master himself. The scene shifts to a high-rise office overlooking the city, where the head of a powerful family named Shi Hong stands by the glass. A masked subordinate enters, reporting that traces of the Gate of Apocalypse have appeared in an eastern valley. Shi Hong looks contemplative, wondering what Nia's father accomplished inside that gate before he lost his life. When the masked minion asks if they should retrieve the corpse, Shi Hong dismisses it to avoid drawing attention. Instead, he orders his spies to shadow Zane and Nia while hunting down the guild president, Wang Lichuan. Later at the cemetery, ritual paper money drifts down like snow while Zane stands quietly in black mourning clothes. Nia approaches him from behind to thank him for saving her life. She hands over an envelope stuffed with enough cash to heal his eyes. claiming the Zora family refuses to owe him a thing. But our guy just looks away and rejects the payment, explaining he only did this to repay his late master. As he turns his back to walk away, the girl desperately calls out for him to stay. Zane retorts that she is far too arrogant, pointing out that without her father's protection, she is absolutely useless. Nia stands frozen as the harsh truth pierces right through her. Collapses to her knees as Zane walks away into the foggy distance. Clutching her father's cold gravestone, Nia sobs uncontrollably, wondering if she really is just a useless child now that her sole protector is gone. Returning to the courtyard of the Gu family mansion under the night sky, Zane is met by Ling Yu. Having already heard about the cemetery incident, his loyal follower immediately expresses deep concern. Ling Yu specifically notices a strange change in Zane's eyes, but our guy just waves off the concern, claiming he is completely fine despite his exhausted look. Uncle Gu then approaches him with a gentle, serious proposal. He points out that the path of a combat class is way too brutal, offering Zane a permanent, safe haven within the family instead. While Zane appreciates the warm gesture, he politely declines. Since his remaining lifespan is already ticking down, he wants to attend university and live with absolutely zero regrets. Seeing the unbreakable resolve in the boy's eyes, the chairman offers his full support, promising the Gu family has his back. Totally drained from the endless fights, Zane retires to his room and flops onto his bed. As he collapses, a small purple pouch slips out from his robes. He is surprised to find this secret inheritance left by his late master, wondering why it decided to reveal itself right now. Opening the pouch, 2 dark skill scrolls float into the air. They contain 2 mysterious skills, the Phantom Technique and the Turtle Breath Technique. Knowing his master likely foresaw his unique talent to upgrade skills, Zane triggers his extreme sublimation ability. The process instantly evolves the basic scrolls into god-tier forbidden spells, the Great Void Technique, and 1 Chi transforming into 3 purities. Zane begins to meditate as he absorbs this massive new power. He learns that the Great Void spell lets him turn completely invisible by sacrificing 1 bone every minute. Meanwhile, the other technique creates an identical clone at the cost of half his lifespan, giving him a perfect way to cheat his stalkers. Without hesitation, Zane summons a clone to take his place. Yalin leaves a perfect clone behind at the G family mansion as a decoy. With his flawless distraction in place, the real Yalin slips out the window and disappears into the city night. He is determined to unmask whoever is keeping tabs on him, so he heads straight into the wilderness. He ditches his glasses and grows his hair out to build a clean new identity. Finally alone, he unleashes the Great Void Technique, realizing his master somehow predicted every single thing he would ever need for this journey. He arrives at a city gate, where hooded guards warn him about constant beast raids. Stepping through the portal, he plunges into the thick forest, focused on 1 goal: level up fast. A level 32 werewolf lunges at him from the shadows, but Yalin sticks to ice magic to keep his cover. He summons a massive ice spear, skewering and freezing the monster solid. As a forbidden mage, he watches a dark vortex swallow the corpse, netting him 320 experience and adding 125 years to his life. Over the next 3 days, Yalin tears through the wild like a natural disaster, freezing and consuming high-level beasts and skeletons while stacking centuries onto his lifespan with every single kill. By the time he steps back through the stone archway, he has officially reached level 30. Even with his crazy progress, Yalin feels he has hit a wall farming solo. He needs a faster route to power, so he heads to the Job Changer Guild to try something different. The guild is still bustling despite the old leader vanishing, so Yalin walks right up to a clerk to post a custom quest. He meets the guy and explains he wants to buy up and recycle monster carcasses. The clerk quotes the rates: level 10 beasts go for 300,000 each, while rare specimens can run up to 450,000. Yalin tells him to pay those exact prices and buy every carcass below level 20. Since Yalin looks like a weak rookie enchanter, the clerk gets suspicious and demands to see his cash first. That attitude vanishes the second Yalin drops a legendary lifetime super VIP card on the counter. And honestly, watching him casually flex on these snobs never gets old. Nearby, a group of veteran job changers watches. Pure frustration. By paying premium rates, Yalin completely corners the market, leaving local alchemists and blacksmiths with nothing to work with. They complain bitterly about this mystery spendthrift causing a massive city-wide shortage. Inside a giant warehouse, piles of beast carcasses are stacked like mountains. The clerk leads our disguised hero inside, calling him Mr. Liu and inviting him to inspect the haul. The doors slam shut, leaving Yalin completely alone with the remains. He grins, realizing that buying raw experience with pure cash is way easier than running around the woods. Raising his hand, Yalin rips open a massive energy rift. Standing right at the center of the vortex, he devours the mountain of corpses, watching his levels and lifespan skyrocket. Yalin quietly slips out of the guild, keeping his low-key disguise active. But he is immediately spotted by scouts watching from above. They scope him out, tracking his gray hoodie, black combat suit, and short hair. After checking their target details, they are absolutely certain they have found their guy. Walking through a dark underpass, Yalin suddenly pauses. He instantly senses that someone is trailing him. Even with a different face, someone still managed to track him down. Annoyed by his sticky shadows, he calls out to the dark, asking if they are tired of trailing him yet. Right on cue, two assassins step out of the shadows. One is a dark-haired swordsman, and the other is a blonde woman spinning a deadly dagger. The woman points at him, identifying him as the rich guy buying up all those monster corpses. She bluntly tells him that someone has paid a fortune for his head. They lunged at him together, but Yalin is too fast. He plants a kick right on the swordsman's jaw while snapping his hand out to grab the woman's wrist. Trying to keep things quiet, Yalin offers to double their bounty, but the blonde sees this as weakness. She sneers that once he is dead, all his gold is theirs anyway. Her partner tells her to shut up and finish him because their boss needs them at Secret Realm 79 next. Tired of the chatter, Yalin unleashes a sudden frost spell. Sharp blue ice bursts from the floor, locking both assassins solid in an instant. The swordsman stares in absolute horror, realizing too late that they just jumped a forbidden mage. Yalin casually walks over and asks who hired them. When the guy hesitates, the young mage aims a glowing finger right at his forehead, threatening to turn him into dust. Terrified of being shattered on the spot, the assassins confess. The hit came directly from the Alliance. Since Yalin's massive bulk buying ruined their business, senior crafters like Yiki, Yunying, and Joe Heaping ordered the hit. Curious, Yalin demands to know more about Secret Realm 79. The trembling swordsman stammers that it just popped up 30 kilometers north of Qingchang. Having got his answers, Yalin turns around and prepares to walk away. The assassins beg, terrified they will freeze to death. He just shrugs, telling them to pray they survive, and walks off. Deep in the dark forest, a tense crowd gathers near a glowing portal. Worried adventurers whisper among themselves that anyone who went inside over the last 2 days has completely vanished. Leaning against a nearby boulder, Yalin watches the portal, deciding it is much safer to wait for a survivor rather than jumping blindly into a potential death trap. Suddenly, a bright light flashes and an ornate scepter with a blue gemstone floats out of the rift. Believing it is a legendary artifact, the crowd loses all sanity. Blinded by greed, the adventurers rush into the portal, fighting over who deserves the treasure. Yalin stays back, sensing a trap. If a real legendary artifact were just sitting here, high-level masters would have grabbed it long before these weak rookies showed up. A stranger with long gray hair walks up to Yalin, agreeing that this whole setup is incredibly suspicious. Yalin immediately points a finger at the stranger, calling her out for wearing a pretty terrible disguise. He notes that her thick lip balm and very obvious female curves make the whole male act completely unconvincing. Flushed with embarrassment, she finally drops the act and admits her goal. She suspects this portal is actually a demon trap designed to lure human fighters, so she asks Yalin to team up. Yalin immediately shuts her down, wanting absolutely zero part in fighting demons. But the second she offers an epic-grade gear piece as payment, Yalin stops dead in his tracks and grabs her hand, declaring they have a deal. Walking through the woods, she introduces herself as Xia Xiao and asks what his class is to find a matching reward. To hide his identity, Yalin claims he is just a simple ice mage who can use anything. Xia Xiao pulls out a wooden box, showing off a beautiful blue circlet. Scanning the item's stats, Yalin is completely stunned. It gives a massive 60% spirit boost and doubles all ice magic damage. Xia Xiao urges him to hurry up. Terrified her overbearing mother will find her and drag her back home, Yalin looks at her with total skepticism. With how incredibly wealthy she seems, he can't help but wonder if she is secretly connected to some mysterious big shot. He asks if she straight up snuck out of her house, but Xiao Xiao completely ignores him. Sensing his raw power, she demands his name and level instead. Keeping his cool, Yalin introduces himself as Ya Mushuang, boldly claiming he is level 45. She is totally stunned. Hitting that level at just 20 makes him an absolute genius in her eyes. Yalin plays along, but she smugly points a finger, boasting that she is already level 37 at only 17. He just stares back with a completely deadpan face, offering a dry compliment, while privately having zero interest in comparing himself to her. As they climb the stone stairs toward a creepy dark structure, Yalin casually asks if she was the top scorer in her final school exam. Xiao Xiao explains she skipped the test because her wealthy dad thought it was a complete waste of time. Hearing this, Yalin is sold and officially agrees to team up for this secret realm. She tosses him the promised gear, declares they are officially partners, and they dive straight into the portal. Suddenly, they find themselves in a bleak, rocky wasteland under a dark sky, right by a giant weathered statue. Sensing danger in the air, Yelin halts. Xiao Xiao sniffs the breeze, noting that the foul stench of actual demons confirms her suspicions about this realm. She tells him she used to hunt them with her parents, but now she is trying to go solo. Peeking around a massive rock wall, they find nothing but empty space, proving everyone else was warped to totally different parts of the map. Out of nowhere, a gray-skinned demon with glowing energy on its face leaps onto a ledge. The beast smashes a massive boulder, showering them with sharp debris, forcing Yelin to grab Xiao Xiao and pull her back. They dive out of the way just as the demon crashes down with a massive thud, roaring furiously. Yelin immediately fires off his Ice Blade spell, summoning a wave of jagged blue frost to freeze the beast solid from the waist down. Xiao Xiao is amazed by his frosty power, but Yelin calmly reminds her that he is a dedicated ice magic specialist. When he starts using a scroll to swallow up the dead bodies, a confused Xiao Xiao asks why on earth he is collecting them. Yelin immediately turns on the waterworks, dramatically claiming that as a poor orphan, he desperately needs to sell these corpses to afford his crazy class change fees and gear. He keeps crying about his rough, family-free life, until a guilt-ridden Xiao Xiao begs him to stop. Feeling terrible, she promises he can have every single demon corpse they find, especially since they fetch a premium price. He happily thanks her for her absolute generosity as they push deeper into the canyon. Yelin watches Xiao Xiao with a calculating eye as she cheerfully asks him to record her fighting so she can prove herself to her family. He agrees, but secretly notes that despite her airhead attitude, she might be intentionally guiding him straight toward the Demon King. Soon, they reach a dark valley where another squad is chilling around a campfire. The group glares up at them, instantly dismissing the duo as pathetic trash looking to steal their kills. Yelin notes the toxic vibes, but Xiao Xiao completely ignores them, leading the way over a stone bridge. As they dash through the canyon, the temperature suddenly plummets, signaling that powerful demons are incredibly close. They run right into a massive, cloaked demon that looks shocked to see actual humans. Yelin is pretty impressed to see a monster over level 40, while Xiao Xiao immediately drops into her fighting stance. She tells him to start filming the fight. He asks if she can actually handle a threat like this, but she tells him to stop underestimating her. Leaping high into the air, she unleashes her star puppet threads, sending glowing silk shooting from her fingertips to trap the demon's arms and legs. As the monster thrashes and screams in rage, Yelin films it on his phone, analyzing her unique skill. He quickly realizes those transparent threads are a deadly weapon for sneak attacks that could easily decapitate even a level 50 fighter. Xiao Xiao pulls the strings tight, telling the beast there is no escape. Desperate, the demon unhinges its massive jaw and begins charging a highly concentrated sphere of red energy right in its throat. Yelin yells out a quick warning as the beast unleashes a massive red laser beam. Xiao Xiao instantly summons a grid-like energy shield to block the blast. The beam slams into her barrier, triggering a blinding explosion that completely engulfs them. As the smoke slowly clears, things take a serious turn for the worse. The demon stands tall, snarling and swearing to eat them alive. Nearby, Xiao Xiao is looking incredibly drained and beat up. She admits she totally underestimated the monster, but she refuses to back down. Determined to flip the script, the girl channels her ultimate technique. Massive, glowing butterfly wings erupt from her back, surrounded by a creepy, ethereal face swirling within the raw energy. She takes off, soaring high into the sky to prepare her next strike. Seeing the demon suddenly turn tail and sprint away at top speed, she mocks its cowardice and immediately gives chase. Yelin instantly knows this retreat is way too fishy. He shouts a warning that she is flying right into an obvious trap, all while keeping his phone perfectly steady to capture the action. And yep, his gut is spot on. The demon leads her straight to an ancient, patterned stone platform and abruptly stops. As Xiao Xiao swoops down to finish the job, the beast flashes a sinister grin. The monster laughs, explaining that he was never running out of fear. He was just baiting her. Xiao Xiao realizes she messed up as dozens of towering, shadow-cloaked demons crawl out from the canyon walls, completely surrounding her. Staring at the massive horde in absolute shock, she wonders how on earth so many high-level demons could secretly gather in a small town like Qingcheng. Feeling guilty for dragging Yelin into this mess, she selflessly decides to act as a distraction. She tells him she will use her star puppet strings to hold back the horde, begging him to run and save himself. Strangely, Yelin doesn't even argue. He just asks how she plans to escape, and when she claims she has a way, he casually nods and bolts. The demon leader roars for his minions to cut him off, but Yelin is way too fast. He easily bounds across the deep rocky gaps, leaving his pursuers eating dust. But he has no plans of actually leaving. Instead, he ducks behind some massive boulders to hide, eager to see exactly how Xiao Xiao plans to pull off her great escape, all while still recording the show. Back on the platform, Xiao Xiao tries to make her own grand exit. She sweeps her arms, tangling the lunging demons in her glowing silk threads and shouting a loud goodbye as she bolts past. Unfortunately, the demon boss is not letting his prize escape so easily. He conjures up a swirling orb of pitch-black energy and fires the massive projectile right at her. The energy expands into a massive black sun, completely blotting out the sky. Xiao Xiao is blasted by crimson energy and screams as her power is shut down. Watching from his hiding spot, Yalin notices she is now trapped in a heavenly demon prison cage. The demon boss proudly boasts that this magical cage was forged by elite, imperial-blooded masters, specifically to capture high-ranking humans. Since she possesses those legendary star puppet strings, he deduces she must be a high-ranking noble from the Daxia kingdom. He plans to use her as a massive bargaining chip, figuring her ransom will easily cover the cost of that expensive cage. But just as the demon reaches through the bars to snatch her weapon, sharp blue ice suddenly erupts over his hand, freezing his entire arm solid. This sudden attack sends the demon spinning around in a panic, while a bewildered Xiao Xiao watches Yalin casually stroll right out of the shadows. Totally unbothered, he tosses her phone back and casually notes he finished the recording she wanted. He even cracks a joke about only saving the cool parts before her embarrassing capture, making a furious Xiao Xiao snap at him for focusing on a video in a life-or-death situation. But their conversation is cut short when a colossal, featureless black demon slowly rises from the darkness directly behind Yalin. Before Yalin can react, creepy clawed arms reach down from the dark to grab him. Fully targeted, he unleashes a savage counter. He triggers a massive blast of blue ice crystals, a deadly move called Absolute Zero. Hovering in midair, he rains down hundreds of sharp ice projectiles onto the rocky ground below. He moves with insane speed, tearing through demons and freezing leaping beasts solid in blocks of ice. But the sheer endless horde quickly takes a brutal toll. As Yalin casts a glance over his shoulder, a shadow demon slashes him from behind, making blood drip from his mouth. He recovers instantly, swinging his arm to summon a massive curved ice blade that slices right through the monster. Watching this brutal bloodbath, Xiao Xiao trembles inside her cage. She begs him to stop fighting and just save himself, absolutely terrified that he is going to die for her sake. Yalin actually cracks a dark joke, asking her to at least drag his body out of this realm to bury him so monsters do not eat him. Talk about bad timing, a long spear suddenly impales his chest from behind. The impact coughs blood from his mouth and sends him stumbling hard. He slams his hand against a giant ice crystal to block the next blow, but a massive energy blast sends him flying backward. He sits slumped on the rocky ground, coughing up fresh blood. Honestly, even the lead demon is completely stunned by this. The monster actually wonders if this kid is even human to survive such lethal damage. Somehow, Yalin finds the strength to stand right back up. He flashes a cocky smirk, telling the demons that since they had their fun, it is now his turn. This bold threat makes dozens of extra demons crawl out from the dark shadows surrounding the plateau. They mock him, thinking this is just his final gasp before dying, and prepare to swarm him. But Yalin just presses his palms together to cast a highly forbidden spell. Instantly, massive boulders of ice erupt all around the plateau, forming a barrier called the Eternal Ice Seal. The lead demon laughs at his terrible aim, but Yalin is about to show them the real trap. He orders the magic to detonate, triggering a wild chain reaction as the giant shards explode. The explosion obliterates over 20 demons instantly, leaving snow falling over the battlefield. Xiao Xiao stands frozen in total awe, realizing the sheer, terrifying power this guy actually holds. Despite winning, he gives a shaky thumbs up while blood leaks from his mouth, claiming it was always a guaranteed victory. But the brutal backlash of that forbidden magic finally hits him. He collapses onto his knees in sheer agony. Luckily, the prison cage has weakened enough for Xiao Xiao to rush out and catch him, leaning his heavy weight against her shoulder. Their relief is cut short when the lead demon looms over them, vowing to slaughter them both. Summoning his last bit of strength, Yalin shoves Xiao Xiao aside right before a massive hand crushes him. The violent impact sends Yalin crashing into the rocks. Seeing his lifeless body, Xiao Xiao completely snaps. Let me tell you, when a quiet girl gets mad, run. Ethereal butterfly wings burst from her back as she screams in pure rage. She flings her hands forward, unleashing hundreds of glowing star threads that wrap around the shadow demon and completely erase it from existence. With the danger gone, she sprints across the debris to her fallen comrade. She scrambles for a special potion crafted by a top-tier alchemy master, promising it will save him. Kneeling down, she presses the bottle to his lips. Yalin weakly tells her to run and save herself, but she absolutely refuses to let him die, begging him to swallow the medicine. Several brown medicinal pills scatter across the gray rocks during their struggle. As Yalin stares blankly with glazed, lifeless eyes, the poor girl begins to sob uncontrollably. She promises through her tears that she will get stronger to avenge him and carry him out of this nightmare, holding his limp body in a tight, grieving embrace. Out of nowhere, violent coughing breaks the tragic silence. Xiao Xiao pulls back in shock to see he is still awake. He dryly asks her to let go, joking that she was choking him to death before the demons could. Flooded with relief, she happily celebrates his survival. Yalin jokingly muses that maybe the god of death just is not ready for him, or that medicine is just insanely good. Determined to keep him safe, she conjures her star threads and promises to hunt down the absolute best cleric in Doxia. Since he cannot walk, she seals him inside a giant blue bean-shaped capsule, hoisting the heavy thing onto her back with absolute ease. They travel through the desolate valley until they reach a ruined Buddha statue, where a horrific sight awaits them. Peeking from a rock, Xiao Xiao spots piles of human bones and realizes Secret Realm 79 is a demon hunting ground. Peeking out from his capsule, Yalin quietly suggests that she should leave him behind to find help, but she firmly rejects abandoning a teammate. Their sweet bonding moment is cut short when a beefy demon spots them and barks an alarm to its buddies. Dozens of demons surround them, mocking their attempt to escape with a crippled baggage. Xiao Xiao takes a fighting stance to shred them, but Yalin demands to be let out to fight. Once he lands, he surveys the dead players with a cold, predatory gaze. Oh yeah, it is buffet time. Seizing the chance to grow, Yalin activates his dark skill, Endless Devour. Dark energy floods him as he consumes the corpses of the level 22 and level 25 fallen players. This crazy process boosts his stats, extending his lifespan by 250 years and making him level up multiple times in seconds. Just as the demons close in to torture the girl, Yalin unleashes his true power. A massive wave of ice sweeps across the canyon floor, freezing every monster solid. This insane show of strength panics the demons, who wonder how such a monster could exist in a small town like Qingcheng. Scared of being wiped out, the monsters fire a bright red flare into the dark sky to call for backup. With the exit blocked, the duo retreats to find a temporary hiding spot. As they fall back, Yalin realizes that having this many demons around actually makes it the absolute perfect place to grind levels. Later that night, the two chill by a cozy bonfire in the forest, roasting skewers of meat. Xiao Xiao marvels at his insane healing speed, and he jokingly credits her medicine and that tasty four-eyed demon pig she cooked up. Hyped by his praise, she suddenly dreams of becoming a master chef once they get out. But their chat is cut short when Yalin senses something nearby, prompting them to investigate the dark woods. Nearby, a group of beaten-up survivors huddle around a small fire, crying that this whole realm is just a trap. They panic over a demon conspiracy and argue that escaping is flat-out impossible. Standing with them is a scarred, black-haired guy named Wu Hao, a level 48 extreme flame swordsman. As the strongest fighter there, everyone looks to him for a way out. Wu Hao smirks and proposes a ruthless plan: use the heavily injured as bait to distract the demons while the healthy ones escape. This heartless idea leaves the group absolutely horrified. One guy immediately protests, asking if this is just a death sentence. A crying woman begs them not to abandon her injured husband, but Wu Hao just glares down coldly and slashes his sword through the air. Two protesters are cut down on the spot, collapsing in pools of blood. The survivors cry out in absolute horror at this mindless cruelty, but Wu Hao just licks his blade with a manic, creepy smile. With two fresh pieces of monster bait ready, he asks if anyone else still wants to oppose his plan. Dead quiet speaks for itself, so he orders his men to muzzle the victims so they don't blow their cover. But right then, Yalin and Xiao Xiao step out of the shadows to intervene. Xiao Xiao glares at Wu Hao, spitting mad at his twisted logic. She calls him out for turning on his own people instead of fighting the actual demons outside. Yalin finds her PG-rated insults a bit weak, though, so he decides to show her how to properly trash-talk a bad guy. He unleashes a massive, hilariously bleeped-out storm of swear words that leaves the survivors completely speechless at the sheer savage energy of his insults. Wu Hao's absolutely seething now. The angry mob leader leaps through the air, screaming that he's going to rip Yalin's tongue right out. But Yalin doesn't even flinch. Xiao Xiao intercepts, catching Wu Hao midair with her glowing star puppet threads and leaving him dangling like a helpless spider. He thrashes around, but she just yanks the threads tighter until he slams into the dirt, coughing up blood. Yalin looks down at the bleeding scumbag and dryly points out that since he's so badly hurt, he gets to be the first piece of bait. Xiao Xiao agrees, muttering that she would have ended him herself if they weren't surrounded by demons. With the change in leadership, the survivors bow down and beg the duo for help. Xiao Xiao promises that if they stick together, they will easily find a way out. Yalin asks what her game plan is, prompting Xiao Xiao to proudly boast that she has actually studied the art of war. She kneels down to sketch a crude map in the dirt, pointing out their current spot and the 15 demons guarding the main exit. To keep them safe, she splits the crowd in two. Team B takes the mages and the injured, while Team A draws the monsters away with high-speed strikes. Our boy raises his hand to join Team A, pointing out that despite being an ice mage, he is actually incredibly fast. A few other survivors, including an injured woman and her bandaged husband, step up to join them, choosing to fight together rather than be split up. Xiao Xiao is deeply touched by their courage and locks in the final 6-member squad. As they prep, Yalin silently notes that the girl is still way too naive about how ugly human nature can get. Just nearby, Wuha watches them with venomous eyes, already plotting to ditch the group the second things go sideways. They soon reach a rocky ledge. Below them lies a dark valley crawling with endless demonic shadows. With the enemy numbers looking way worse than before, Xiao Xiao prepares to lead a suicide charge to buy time for Team B. But Yilin casually walks past her and points out that they don't really need 6 people for a distraction. Before anyone can stop him, he charges down the slope alone, calling back that he is more than enough on his own and urging them to run for it. Xiao Xiao screams at him to come back, terrified that he's throwing his life away. But Yalin just looks back over his shoulder with a confident smirk, telling her not to worry, because he's not dying today. Leaping right into the dead center of the swarm, Yalin lands with a brilliant flash of blue energy. He triggers his Ice Blade art, sending massive frozen spikes tearing through the earth to impale several monsters. The monsters instantly recognize him as that annoying ice mage and shout warnings. As they try to surround him, Yalin hovers high in the sky, gathering a massive spell. He laughs and tells them they should be the ones worrying about their escape as the real fight kicks off. The demonic squad stays completely on guard after his opening move. Sensing his forbidden powers, they hesitate. Meanwhile, as the survivors prepare to strike, Xiao Xiao halts them, feeling a sudden, chilling shift in the atmosphere. She's totally right, because there stands our boy, coldly laughing at the charging horde and calling them a bunch of tiny ants. This smug talk instantly pisses off a giant, red-skinned demon leader, who steps up with a massive spiked club. The brute roars that the kid is the only ant here and swings his massive weapon. Yilin stays cool as ice, leaping high into the air to dodge the crushing blow at the very last second. That heavy club slams down with enough force to shatter the earth, completely missing its mark. Realizing the kid is just trying to bait them, the demon leader orders the main force to keep guarding the exit while he takes a small squad to hunt him down. Yalin sprints off, leading the chasing monsters deep into the canyon to clear the way for his friends. Xiao Xiao and a guy wearing a headband watch him run, hoping he'll be okay. He successfully lured away most of the horde, but they quickly notice a few guards are still blocking the exit tunnel. Xiao Xiao realizes there's no way around it, they have to fight, and she rallies the survivors to charge. She silently prays that the backup team shows up soon. As they rush toward the 2 blue-skinned demons blocking the gate, the monsters roar back, locking down their stance to make sure nobody gets through. Xiao Xiao leaps forward, her star threads swirling into giant, glowing butterfly wings as she leads the attack. While the battle rages at the gate, Wuha is hiding behind a boulder with all the able-bodied fighters. He grins like a true rat, seeing that the distraction worked flawlessly. Instead of backing up his allies, he tells his squad to abandon the injured and get ready to run. One teammate is horrified by this gutless move, but Wuha shuts him up with a death glare, warning him that staying means getting slaughtered. Selfish to the core, the group decides their own skins are worth more, slipping away after Wuha. Xiao Xiao initially thinks backup has arrived, but her blood runs cold when she realizes these cowards are actually leaving the wounded behind to die. Wuha makes it to the tunnel exit, laughing at the idiots he abandoned and proudly thinking his sheer cruelty is the key to survival. His victory laugh is cut short when a massive stone slab slams down, sealing the exit completely. The cowards are trapped, realizing they just walked right into a secondary demon trap. Panicking but trying to play it cool, Wuha orders everyone to smash the barrier. Unfortunately for them, the stone is reinforced with heavy magic, leaving their fire and steel attacks without a single scratch. Xiao Xiao and the abandoned, injured survivors watch them struggle from a distance, feeling like karma finally caught up to the traitors. Things get even worse as more demons descend from the sky. The demon leader returns, guiding a pack of vicious, wolf-like beasts to surround Wuha's group, trapping them between a solid stone door and a bloodthirsty horde. Wuha braces for a losing battle as the demon leader swings his giant axe, unleashing a terrifying red shockwave that blasts the entire group off their feet with brutal force. Xiao Xiao quickly realizes that the brute is way too strong for them to fight and tells everyone to fall back. But as they scramble up a rocky ledge, they are shocked to find Yalin just chilling on a rock. She frantically asks if he's hurt, and our boy stands up with a relaxed shrug. He's actually surprised to see they haven't made it out yet, asking if the demons had even more traps waiting. Xiao Xiao explains how the door got sealed and how Team B almost got slaughtered after ditching the injured. Yalin admits he miscalculated, thinking they could manage a simple escape, so he decides to handle things personally. He originally wanted to wait for them to get clear before unleashing absolute hell, but now that the path is blocked, he'll just have to wipe out the horde head-on. Stepping right in front of the demonic army, he tells them to get ready to die. The demon leader gladly accepts the challenge, leaping high into the air to slam his axe down on Yalin's ice wall. A massive explosion of frozen shards erupts, but Yalin stands there completely untouched. The demon leader's jaw drops when he sees the kid is fully recovered, utterly baffled by how his wounds healed so fast. Yalin tells the brute that there are plenty of things beyond his tiny imagination. He immediately unleashes his devour spell, creating pure, unadulterated chaos as demonic shadows are violently shredded and vaporized into nothingness. The demon leader stands there, watching the carnage with wide, terrified eyes. Unable to make sense of this devastating move, the boss watches his fallen warriors in absolute horror. He realizes this kid is literally devouring demon souls, but Ye-an just grins, a cold, wicked smile, promising the leader that he is next. He knows this secret realm is a rare, golden opportunity to delete so many demons at once. That is exactly why he is willing to push his body to its absolute limits. Time to finish this. Enveloping himself in a rising dark aura, he activates the forbidden burning karma spell. He begins the sacrifice ritual, forming a wild vortex of black wind to prepare his world-destroying storm. Desperate to survive, the demon leader screams at his remaining goons to launch a combined attack. A massive burst of energy erupts from the ground, dwarfing the demons and forcing them to defend. Under that crushing pressure, the leader grits his teeth. He reminds his followers that no mage can maintain a forbidden spell for very long. Our boy casually agrees with that logic, but decides to spend his remaining time giving them one last, terrifying nightmare. He spreads his arms wide, activating two opposing elements at once, an epic feast of ice and fire. This conjures a colossal tornado of spiraling frost and flames tearing straight through the center of the canyon. Thanks to the massive explosions and flying debris, the demon forces are completely vaporized. Only the tribe leader is left standing alone on a single rock. The boss looks around at the empty wasteland in total shock. Pure disbelief. Seeing the final few survivors try to flee, Ye-an declares that absolutely none of them will escape his grasp. He forms one last hand seal, his dark presence turning heavy as he releases his full devouring power. A shockwave sweeps across the landscape, hitting the fleeing demons. The leader screams in agony, demanding to know who this kid actually is. As they fall, a stream of system notifications confirms some highly insane gains. Devouring 22 high-level monsters boosts our boy's lifespan by 780 years and adds 16,000 experience points. This massive power surge triggers multiple level-ups, supercharging his strength, agility, and spirit attributes. Still, the demon leader refuses to yield. He leaps into the air with his axe, swearing the demon lord will enslave all humanity. Ye-an just watches the incoming blade with a completely blank face. Thanks to his superior speed, the demon's heavy attack misses him entirely. Right then, Shi Xiaoxiao arrives and just stares at him in complete disbelief. She is utterly shocked that he wiped out an entire demon army, completely solo. Realizing the survivors are here, Ye-an panics that his true strength is about to be exposed. To save his cover, he throws himself backward like he got hit by an invisible truck, crashing into a cliff in a massive explosion of dust. Believing he is in serious danger, Shi Xiaoxiao charges forward to protect him. She yells at the others to run while she handles the remaining boss. Leaning against a rock, our boy coughs dramatically and pretends to be battered, wheezing that he did his best. He shamelessly lies, claiming the boss must have powered up by devouring his own teammates. Deeply moved by his apparent sacrifice, Shi Xiaoxiao tells him he has done enough and takes over the fight. The demon leader is absolutely furious at this cheap theater, screaming that the kid is a lying devil who devoured everyone. But Shi Xiaoxiao ignores the crazy talk. Flying on her butterfly wings, she strikes him with her threads. One last desperate push. The wounded demon looms over Ye-an, promising to drag him straight to hell. He swings his heavy weapon down, but our boy catches the sharp blade with his bare hand and stares up coldly. The demon is completely frozen by this sudden, monstrous display of strength. In an instant, a massive vortex of spell energy erupts from their clash and spirals outward, engulfing the whole canyon. A colossal blast slams into the demon, triggering a massive explosion. When the dust settles, the demon leader lies scorched and broken on the ground with blood dripping from his mouth. He gasps out his final, bitter words in pure disbelief, humiliated. Meanwhile, Ye-an calmly stands up amidst the smoking wreckage, looking down at the dying monster with an incredibly bored gaze. He realizes he had to make the fight look close to keep his identity hidden. Just then, Shi Xiaoxiao runs up with deep concern in her eyes, asking if his injuries are serious. Ye-an grins, promising he is not going to die just yet, and urges her to leave this creepy valley fast. As they stand together, She looks at him with sudden, intense seriousness, right as our boy mentions he has something to say too. As they start walking through the canyon and past the demon's bleeding corpse, Shi Xiaoxiao takes the lead. She casually drops the news that her father is likely waiting right outside the exit. She warns him they must pretend to be strangers who met by chance, otherwise her father will literally kill him. Our boy looks at her, asking if her father is some kind of terrifying monster. Shi Xiaoxiao tells him to drop it, noting that knowing too much will only get him hurt. Naturally, this only makes him more curious. He stops and stares. He declares that no matter who her father is, he will track her down, because surviving this life and death crisis together has officially made them best friends. As he starts swearing to the heavens to keep his word, Shi Xiaoxiao places her hand over his mouth to stop him. She then reveals her true identity, explaining that her father, Shi Hong, is the head of one of the 5 great families of the Great Sea. Yi An is completely stunned by her massive family background, wondering what makes these 5 great clans so terrifying. She mentions the famous astrologer, Mr. Zhuge, explaining that he belonged to one of these ancient clans, and since he recently passed away, all 5 families have been heavily investigating the cause of his death. Yi An ponders this connection, wondering if the Z family was behind the massive chaos at his master's funeral. Shi Xiaoxiao teases him, asking if he still has the guts to find her now. He responds with a highly confident grin, saying once he makes up his mind, he always sees things through to the end. She gives him a soft, sweet smile before turning away, promising to wait for him. Walking off, she calls back to remind him of her name, while Ye En watches her leave to seal their promise. Meanwhile, outside the secret realm, the portal entrance is heavily guarded by men in black suits. Shi Hong stands watching the entrance alongside City Lord Hu Wang. Suddenly, a guard yells that the young lady has emerged. Shi Xiaoxiao steps out of the portal looking completely exhausted, and the guards bow in deep relief. She runs happily toward her dad, but Shi Hong just glares at her with a completely unimpressed face, scolding her for running away from home. She holds up her combat achievements to prove she can easily handle the demon race, but Shi Hong remains dismissive, stating that since the family spent immense fortunes on her, this basic performance is the absolute bare minimum. He warns her that if she could not even do this much, she would be nothing but absolute trash. Shi Xiaoxiao looks deeply hurt and crushed by his harsh words. Her father turns his back and issues a punishment, ordering her to enter the Dragon Pool's secret realm to reflect on her actions. Shi Xiaoxiao bows in submission, accepting the order. Behind them, the portal entrance begins to distort and collapse. Spotting a figure lingering in the shadows, Shi Hong demands to know his identity. Shi Xiaoxiao points to our boy, describing him as a random ice mage she met inside who killed a few demons. When her father asks if they are close, she responds quickly that they are complete strangers. Satisfied, Shi Hong walks away and the entire group departs. Yi An watches them leave, sweat dripping down his face from the terrifying pressure of Shi Hong's power. He quietly wonders if this scary patriarch is the mastermind pulling all the strings. Left all alone, the young mage realizes he has been out too long and needs to get home fast. He starts walking away but stops dead when a sudden arrow pierces his shoulder. Out from the forest pops a creepy masked archer with a freakishly long tongue, aiming a bow right at his face. The assassin laughs at his luck and aims a second arrow right at his skull, mocking him for getting way too close to the young miss. Hiding behind his magic illusion mask, Yalin quickly weighs his options. Ruining his disguise is way too risky, but playing dead might actually kill him if the next arrow takes his head off. He decides to play along, spawning a sharp blade made of ice. But the assassin shoots, shattering the shield and hitting Yalin square in the chest. The impact blasts him backward, leaving him on the dirt in a pool of blood. He hopes playing dead lets him sneak off. No such luck. The archer strolls up, drawing another arrow to make absolutely sure he is finished. Seeing that playing dead is a bust, Yalin rolls aside and attacks with blinding speed. He unleashes his ultimate world-destroying Raging Thunder spell. The archer is completely paralyzed, shocked by the sudden swap from ice to absolute lightning. A massive lightning bolt crashes down, completely vaporizing the assassin. Standing inside the smoky crater, Yalin sighs the guy really forced his hand. Devouring the dead assassin nets Yalin tons of nutrients, 35 years of lifespan, and nice stat boosts. 5 minutes later, a suited investigator wearing a cat mask arrives to inspect the charred wreckage. Kneeling to touch the burned dirt, the investigator instantly senses the lingering power left behind by the fighters. Feeling traces of ice, lightning, and even space magic, he figures at least 3 different high-level mages were clashing here. The detective immediately calls his boss through an earpiece, confirming that their assassin, the Hanged Ghost, is officially dead. This discovery triggers an intense manhunt across Chingcheng to hunt down whoever pulled this off. Cut to a sunny day at a massive luxury estate, where Yalin stands by the iron gates in his normal form. He yells for the master blacksmith Yin Chong, but his polite shout gets completely ignored. Getting ghosted does not sit well with Yalin, so he skips the pleasantries and literally tears the massive iron gates right off the walls. Loud crash sends Yin Chong running outside, absolutely furious. Yalin casually tosses the heavy metal gate right on top of him, leaving the blacksmith bleeding and pinned to the dirt. Trapped under the heavy metal, Yin Chong screams for his guards to eliminate the intruder. A squad of suited bodyguards rushes forward, but Yalin calmly greets them with a chilling ice spell. Within a split second, the entire security detail is frozen solid from the waist down, left shivering in absolute terror. The guards instantly realize this must be a high-tier forbidden spell since they cannot budge. Knowing he is wildly outclassed, Yin Chong desperately asks how he managed to offend such a powerhouse. Yalin looms over the terrified blacksmith and demands he summon his two buddies, Yunying Fa and Zhou Heping. The crafter suddenly puts two and two together, recognizing Yalin as the mysterious rich kid buying up monster corpses. Moments later, the three masters assemble in a peaceful courtyard by a fish pond. Zhou Heping and Yunying Fa arrive completely baffled by the ripped-off gate and the frantic summons. Leaning casually against a courtyard pillar, Yalin drops a massive bomb. He is the exact same target they just tried to put a hit on. This shocking news makes the two newcomers turn on Yin Chong with absolute fury, screaming that he set them up. Yin Chong snaps back, pointing out they were totally in on the plot and should stop acting innocent now. Yalin cuts right through their bickering, telling them he is not here for petty revenge, but to talk serious business. He pulls out a beat-up weapon called the Rainbow Piercing Bow, a legendary epic-grade item. The three masters stare at it in absolute horror, knowing they lack the high-level skills to fix it. Yin Chong stammers that he is only a senior blacksmith, while his buddies are just an alchemist and an apothecary. A master-level reforge is simply impossible for them. Yalin does not care, suggesting that three mediocre professionals can surely beat one genius. To make sure they cooperate, he releases a massive wave of raw pressure that cracks the pavement and terrifies them. Feeling this insane, predator-like power, the three men quickly change their minds and swear the upgrade is absolutely doable. Yalin smiles at their sudden motivation, promising freedom if they succeed, and a very bad day if they fail. Leaving them to sweat over the forge, he takes a nice, casual stroll around the estate. The masters work like madmen over the roaring forge, blending fire and magic to reshape the weapon. Finally, Yin Chong presents a gorgeous crimson-bladed bow to Yalin, who actually commends their impressive handiwork. The weapon is now the legendary 8 Desolations Holy Silver Bow. Since this epic tier item doubles arrow power within 10 meters and ignores any defenses below God grade, Yalin notes it will even make a fantastic melee weapon. Keeping his word, he lets the terrified trio go, but warns them that if they ever show their faces around him again, they are finished. Yalin returns to the Ji family mansion, surprising Ling Yu and Chairman Ji. Since he had a clone pretending to practice in his room, Ling Yu is highly confused as to how his boss just walked in from the front gate. Yalin quickly covers up the slip by casually claiming he just needed to step out for some fresh air. He suggests to Chairman Ji that since Chingcheng is getting pretty dangerous and rivals want him dead, he needs to hire a bodyguard. Ling Yu promises to set up interviews, while Yalin secretly plans to use a disguise and hire himself. This brilliant plan lets his clone and new alter ego hang out at the same time, making his movements way safer and impossible to track. Later on, outside the massive Jihu Group skyscraper, Ling Yu stands before a line of elite bodyguard candidates gathered in the courtyard. Facing constant mysterious threats, the blonde executive explains that they desperately need an absolute top-tier shield. He stresses that the client they are protecting is a major troublemaker in Chingcheng, so they are being incredibly picky with their choice. Right in the middle of this crowd stands Yalin, fully disguised as Yamu Shuang. With his face mask working perfectly, he finds it hilarious that they think he is some wild troublemaker, especially since the guy he is being hired to protect is literally himself. To choose the winner, Ling Yu announces a brutal free-for-all where only the last man standing gets the job. While the other fighters prep for a long tournament, Yamu Shuang decides to speed things up. Since he has got a busy schedule, he casually tells all the candidates to just jump him at once. This insane request completely shocks the group, prompting a massive tattooed meathead to yell at him for being arrogant. Even Ling Yu is impressed, realizing this random stranger is almost as cocky as his actual boss. Ignoring the trash talk, Yalin gets ready to test out his newly upgraded 8 Desolations Holy Silver Bow. Seeing he is just an archer, the other candidates try to strategize, sending their heavy tanks and shield knights forward to block his shots. Too bad for them. Yalin is insanely fast. He draws his bow with blinding speed, letting loose an arrow trailing pure destructive energy right across the roof. A guy with a massive tower shield leaps out to block the shot, but the impact is absolutely devastating. The arrow triggers a huge explosion, instantly shattering the top-tier shield into tiny pieces. Leaving the bald tank completely shell-shocked by this unreal power, the rest of the candidates decide to team up and swarm the arrogant brat together. As a massive horde rushes through the air, Yimushuang decides to test his brand new bow in point-blank combat. He lets loose an arrow that punches clean through a massive heavy shield, pinning the poor wielder flat to the floor. The bald candidate is left staring in absolute disbelief. After all, no ordinary weapon should ever punch through defense of that tier. When the remaining fighters try to swarm him from all sides, the young mage completely shifts his style. Instead of shooting arrows, he grips the bow like a club and swings it in a massive arc. The strike unleashes a massive circular shockwave that sends everyone flying, leaving them gasping for breath. Realizing they are completely outclassed, the survivors immediately surrender, deciding that no payday is worth getting absolutely annihilated. Ling Yu approaches the completely unharmed protagonist with a highly satisfied grin, officially offering him the job on the spot. Yimushuang introduces his fake identity as a level 45 S rank refined hunter. This prompts Ling Yu to offer him an annual salary of 60 million yuan plus top-tier equipment. As they head inside to finish the paperwork, Ling Yu secretly gloats, thinking he just hired the ultimate powerhouse. Meanwhile, things take a dark turn as a sinister conspiracy unfolds deep in the woods outside Qingcheng. Shi Hong stands in a quiet clearing with his masked minions, relieved that his daughter has returned home safely. But now, his eyes are set on a far bigger and deadlier prize. His subordinates are sweating bullets over the insane swarm of monsters they have lured toward Qingcheng. They worry the city will fall, but Shi Hong does not care about innocent lives at all. He points out that starting a massive beast wave is the perfect way to smoke out the mysterious Ling Ya. Convinced that a legendary ancient artifact has surfaced, he considers wiping out an entire city a tiny price to pay. His twisted smile says it all. As long as the artifact ends up in the hands of the Z family, he is completely fine with sacrificing thousands of people. Elsewhere, deep in a quiet forest, Officer Hang and his team investigate the charred ruins where the blacksmith Yin Chang mysteriously vanished. The site is completely scrubbed clean, making it nearly impossible for the team to find any solid clues about the family. But as Hang inspects the ground, he finds a strange dark rock and deduces the blacksmith was forging a legendary bow right before disappearing. This crucial clue forces him to order an immediate dragnet across the city, hunting down any class-transferred user carrying a bow. It does not take long to get a hit. A scout reports that a prime suspect just applied to be a bodyguard for the city's top guild. This news deeply annoys Hang, because the client the suspect is guarding is none other than Yen. Seriously, it feels like every single major incident in this city somehow circles back to Yimushuang. We cut to the Gi family mansion, where Yimushuang stands guard as Yan rests. Hang suddenly arrives, presenting a warrant that names the young hunter as the prime suspect in the murder of Yin Chang. When Hang orders him to come to the station, Yimushuang calmly demands some real proof. The officer simply points at the red-bladed weapon on Yimushuang's back, declaring that the 8 Desolations holy silver bow is all the evidence he needs. But before they can make the arrest, the water in a nearby pond begins to boil and surge violently. A mysterious figure leaps high into the air, catching everyone completely off guard. The watery figure warns everyone that an overwhelming swarm of demonic beasts is heading straight for the city. Since the local defenses stand zero chance, it advises them to start evacuating the citizens immediately. Officer Hang is completely terrified, realizing this warning is absolutely real. He cannot help but wonder how a massive army of demons could assemble like this without a king-rank commander leading the charge. The entity coldly notes it only delivered the message on its master's orders, before dissolving into mist and leaving everyone stunned. Realizing there is no time to lose, Hang and his men drop the investigation and rush off to prepare for battle. Yimushuang silently watches them go, remembering the ruined city he witnessed inside the Gate of Apocalypse. He quickly figures out that Shi Hong is the ruthless mastermind who lured tens of thousands of monsters here, all to bait our protagonist into the open. Soon, the streets erupt into pure chaos as sirens and emergency broadcasts blare out. All low-level job changers are told to head for the teleporters, while anyone level 10 or higher is drafted to fight. Helping a panicked mother and her child through the stampede, Yimushuang thinks back to his master. He wonders if all of this madness was already foreseen by the old astrologer. Seeking some much-needed direction, he opens a small silk pouch his master left him before passing away. Inside, he finds a simple note telling him to follow his heart and act as he pleases. Those simple words clear his doubts. He decides to give this desperate city the savior they are looking for, pulling on a dark mask to step back into his legendary role as Ling Ya. Thunderous war drums echo as the military lines up along the massive battlements. Officers bark out strict commands everyone must fight, and those over 40 or with siblings will be the very first to face the horde. Since this is a brutal battle for survival, commanders warn that anyone attempting to run will be executed on the spot. Standing high atop the walls, our hero gazes out at an endless sea of crawling and flying demons. Staring at this horrifying horde, he finally understands why humanity is forced to cower behind massive stone walls just to survive. Nearby, City Lord Hu Wang realizes that the greedy leaders from rival cities have ignored their desperate distress signals. To those high society elites, civilian lives are just numbers, leaving this place completely on its own. The Lord looks at his brave soldiers, admitting that these stone walls will not hold against a swarm this huge. He tells them they must stand as a wall of flesh and blood so their families have a chance to flee. By swearing to lead the charge from the very front, he inspires the entire army to roar with a massive battle cry, promising to fight to their absolute last breath. Below, the ruined outer city lies dead and silent in a heavy, suffocating fog. Suddenly, a massive explosion of flames erupts and shatters the earth, revealing the clone of Ling Ya standing tall with a trident. Up on the walls, a soldier and City Lord Hu Wang watch the distant clash in absolute disbelief. The Lord is shocked to see the legendary Ling Ya arrive, while the soldier is left speechless by the raw power. Nearby, two injured soldiers with blood-smeared faces watch in awe. They quietly wonder if the late Mr. Zhuge is still watching over Qing Cheng, even from beyond the grave. Spurred on by this sudden hope, the masked clone launches himself directly into the demonic horde. He unleashes roaring waves of fire that reduce the monsters to ash, shouting out for the brave warriors of Qing Cheng to stand tall, push back the tide, and protect their home. Meanwhile, up on a high cliff, Shi Hong stands as a scout confirms the target has finally shown up. Noting that the files label Ling Ya as the fire-type expert who killed Ken, Shi Hong orders his strike force to move. A dozen elite hunters wearing black suits and animal masks dive off the cliffside and descend straight into the chaos. Back on the walls, the soldiers are completely baffled by this bizarre group's arrival. These mysterious fighters use raw, overwhelming power to plow through the beast wave, ignoring the monsters entirely to hunt a single target. The soldiers hope they are another secret card from the late Mr. Zhuge, but the city lord notices they are not even attacking the demons. He watches in utter confusion as they rip a path through the monster tide, desperately trying to figure out what their true objective is. Watching from a safe distance while keeping his standard Yimu Shuang appearance, the real MC smiles. He realizes this elite squad is finally showing their hand to hunt his clone, so he decides to have some fun with them. The Ling Ya clone is quickly cornered on a rocky plateau by the masked hunters. A cat-masked attacker mocks him for finally running out of places to hide, but the clone simply asks if they honestly believe they can capture him. The clone starts cackling like a total maniac, screaming that his grand master plan completely flopped. He even apologizes to Mr. Zhuge for failing his trust. Naturally, this wild behavior panics the cat-masked attacker, who realizes this kid is about to blow himself up. Cue a massive, fiery explosion that leaves a giant smoking crater. Once the smoke clears, the cat and rabbit villains are standing right there, completely untouched. They are honestly impressed by his lack of fear, but now they are totally clueless on what to do next. Watching from his safe little hiding spot, the real Yalin is seriously sweating. How did a level 45 forbidden spell fail to scratch even one of those guys? He knows they are beasts, but at least his tracks are covered. Honestly, why are these villains always so overpowered? Suddenly, a familiar scream rings out. Yalin whips his head toward the city walls and recognizes Zhuge. She is standing right on the edge, looking down at the villains and dramatically swearing to avenge Ling Ye. With zero hesitation, Zhuge dives straight off the wall into the scary monster swarm. Yalin is left completely baffled why she is not escaping with everyone else. As she plummets, she channels crazy energy into her blue astrolabe. Suddenly, a whole galaxy of cosmic energy swirls around her. With stars lighting up the sky, she proudly declares she is going to protect her home or die trying. She unleashes the power of the heavenly stars, creating a massive astral array. Even City Lord Hu Wang watches in absolute shock as thousands of glowing laser beams rain down. This legendary eternal star suppression technique absolutely crushes the monster horde. The cat and rabbit villains are pinned flat to the ground, and their bones are literally cracking. Terrified by the residual power of Zhua Qianqing, the villains can barely even wiggle. Seizing this golden opportunity, City Lord Hu Wang draws his sword and orders a full charge. The human army surges forward, happily slicing and dicing the helpless demons. It is a total bloodbath. Zhuge is visibly shaking as blood drips from her mouth. Watching her struggle, Yalin realizes this insane power trip is way too much for her fragile body to handle. Nearby soldiers are crying, complaining that the good ones always die young while worrying for their master's daughter. Meanwhile, the masked villains start glowing with a weird yellow aura. They slowly drag themselves up, knowing it is do or die time. With a synchronized burst of raw energy, they completely shatter her sparkling astral chains. The villains immediately lock their eyes on the exhausted Zuzhny. One of them lunges forward and fires a dark energy arrow, calling her a major pain in the neck. Zuzhny closes her eyes. She accepts her fate, thinking of her father as the starlight begins to fade.